Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and we are here with some N64 games, and I am, of course, joined by...
Riddick.
Now, when did you first get an N64?
I actually got mine day one, midnight.
Really? Damn.
I actually still have the Toys R Us was doing the one's doing the pre-order. Somewhere around here, I still have the N64 duffel bag, and I still have the original T-shirt for Super Mario 64 unworn in my closet.
That's just insanely awesome. I didn't get mine till 98. No, 99.
I busted my rear in 95 to 96 to get the funds for it because I saw what they were going to do with Super Mario World. Like, okay, I need to play this.
I didn't actually get that till like a couple of years after. No, it was about a year after I got it. And the first game I got for the N64 in 1999 was Turok 2. And it was like one of the greatest games of all time at that point for me.
Well, yeah, it was a great purchase for its time. The original Turok was expensive. People forget.
Yeah, wasn't it like $80? Something like that? I didn't get that until...
That was a near $90 game.
Holy crap. I remember Donkey Kong Country, which was for the NES, or not NES, but SNES. That was also an expensive game because, well, you got to pay for those Silicon Graphics workstations somehow.
Well, no, it was expensive because the memory mappers, Rare kind of went nutty with jamming as much memory as they could and compressing it down into that game as possible. That's why the complaints of the game being actually a little too big are actually a legitimate complaint. Now,
with Donkey Kong Country, that was one of those killer apps of back of the day. It came on like a VHS tape, I think. I think I still have that, actually.
Yeah, you had two VHS promo tapes. You had the one for Donkey Kong Country, and you had the one for Nintendo for that year, which basically was a culmination of like just trailers for everything they were doing.
So that's kind of crazy. Now today, they would just release a YouTube video and it'd primarily be crap. Evidently, Rain here has watched Blizzard ultimately destroy themselves with Warcraft 3's so-called remaster.
Oh my dear sweet angry lord, it's awful. The animations are worse. The models look fine if you can get the darn game to load.
It's like, how do they fuck that up after, shouldn't they have at least a little higher quality team than that?
Well, the thing is, they even remove shadows unless you're playing in Reforged, or as everybody's calling to take it, refunded mode.
I didn't know they were trying to remaster that. I don't really see the point. I mean, I never played any of the Warcraft games. Actually, no, I take that back. I played Warcraft 1 for about an hour back in the day.
Warcraft 1 was good for what it was, but even back then it was a little rough. Now it's just unforgivably rough. Warcraft 2 is still pretty darn good. 3 was absolutely freaking amazing for when it came out 17 years ago.
My God, don't say that. That was 2002. It's like,
yep.
Wait, now you're going to tell me that AVP2 is almost 20 years old. That AVP1 is now actually 20 years old.
21.
Oh, God. It's old enough to drink. Or potentially get a concealed carry permit.
If you ever want to feel old, I've got paintball markers that are old enough to drink, vote, serve our country, and, die in the foreign war.
Well, there's a lot of my shooters that I picked up are nearing 10 years old. As in 10 years in my possession, so yeah, that's... Oh
yeah, I've got... My AR-15 next to me was built immediately after the ban based off of the, at the time, still new and unproven, SOCOM Block 1. It wasn't finalized yet.
So one thing about the AR that annoys me, it's like, no matter what era, once it's invented, it's the best of the best in terms of, like, small arms. I mean...
it wasn't the best of the best for a while there. It was good.
Well,
the best of the best for a while there was still the G3, the AKM, the FNFAL.
Yeah, that's true. I keep thinking that I keep forgetting they didn't actually start out with the optics rail. But
the carry handle, you could mount optics too, but The problem is, optics up until really the 1990s were very, very primitive.
Well, that Colt 4 power didn't seem like it was that bad.
Uh, Depends. It was okay for its era. The new retro version of it by Brownells is so much better.
I am not surprised. And hello, Sugar Ray Ray. Now, when it comes to rough games, this is one of them. I mean, this... actually, that's not even really an interesting story, but it's a story of my impatience. So, this was a game I wanted a lot back in the day. Like, I could not wait to finally play Sergeant Heroes, and I actually pre-ordered it. And for whatever reason, the Game Shop, which is now a Vietnamese noodle house, just couldn't get a copy in for some reason. To the point where I actually wanted to spend more on a used copy at another game shop. I was like less than 10 years old at this point, so I don't feel too bad about my financial decisions. That's how much I wanted to play this one game. So yes.
Don't feel bad. And in terms of, spending money on games not entirely sensibly, you're talking to somebody who owns a Neo Geo back in the day.
Yeah, but at least a Neo Geo would be worth it more than this. Look at those polygons. It's like 3.
Not every Neo Geo game was good. I mean, you could always got Ashita no Joe, and that game is... It's fun for a speed run. It's absolutely awful in terms of gameplay.
And I've never even heard of it. It's kind of weird to play this in 60 FPS.
Boxing.
Oh, boxing. Oh yeah, I got the grenade launcher. I think you can destroy a tank with the grenade launcher. I don't remember, though. Oh yeah, you can't aim. You don't aim with that button. That was a complete waste. Oh, crap. Sergeant Heroes 2 does actually improve upon just about every aspect of this game. However, back in the day, I never actually owned it. But I did rent it. Renting games was a much bigger deal back in the day than it is today, really. I mean, I don't even think you can really rent games today.
Not really, no. You had Blockbuster, you had Hollywood, and you had thousands of independent chains back then.
Now, one of my favorite places to actually rent games was a place called Mega Video, something like that. And now it's a breakfast restaurant called the Egg and I. Yes, I remember where all these places were located. They used to have a deal where you could get 5 SNES games for $5 for 5 days. And that's how I was able to play a lot of SNES games back in the day. I never owned that many. I own more now than I did back when I was a kid, but that's how I was able to really try out a lot of things, especially like Final Fantasy III. That is a game I never would have bought, but I did actually try it out, and it was actually pretty good. And for the longest time, that was the only Final Fantasy game that I ever played. And, I never really could get into JRPGs. I mean, they're not bad. It's just, I just can't really take them that seriously. I saw my phone light up, and I knew it was going to make noise. There we go.
I miss the rental system because it allowed people like me to know, okay, is this game good? Is this game a waste of a weekend? How good is it? And should you save your money up and buy it?
See, like with Steam sales and stuff like that, saving up to buy a game is almost kind of obsolete in a way, because if you just are patient enough, within a year it's like $10.
Or if it's an indie game, sometimes it'll go so under the radar that, a couple weeks later, even though it's a really good game and nobody's bought it, it's the price of a cheap burger.
Although, that being said, like a Medieval, that's still $20, even to this day.
Oh, yeah.
And it's worth it, too. That is a game that might as well be, like Hexen 2016. Well, didn't come out in 2016, but you get the idea. It is basically a modern game in many instances without the modern shitty level design. And look at those polygons. Look at that. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I mean, look at that. It's got all of a green texture. I mean, this is kind of impressive. Look at that face. Look at that face.
Let's see. I'm trying to count how many birds he's. That's about, not counting the capacitors inside your character and Grim. That helicopter's probably hovering right around 84 to 94 polygons.
Uh, there's a blue tank in the town below. It's the French. I guess, blue being French makes some sense. Although I don't remember the French resistance having their own tanks, but whatever. And they all look like T-50s. Or T-54s, I should say.
Oh wow, I didn't know this game actually had distance render culling.
I didn't either. I'm not surprised that it does now that I actually know what that actually is. Since it is on the N64 after all.
Well, no, remember, this is still very, very early for distance render culling. That's pretty advanced tech.
They should have used some of that technological advancement to use a second analog stick.
Well, that was a Nintendo decision, not anybody else's. And like I say, this was the Wild West. We didn't know that 2 analog sticks was a great idea.
Because this is just painful. It's like, my God, this is stiff. Not all games were quite as stiff as this. Eventually, we're gonna just play like 2 missions here, and then we can move on to Battle Tanks, which is another game that I never really owned, but only ever rented. What's kind of funny is I rented. Oh, I'm out of ammo. Shit. Be nice if I could actually, have a little better auto aim than like stop, plant my feet, try to figure out where he is. Then there's the tank coming in. Now, of course, I don't have any means of actually attacking the tank and blown up. Now, imagine trying to do this with a live system, and it does have a live system. Now, you can use a memory card. One thing I'm glad that finally became standard is the ability to save a game without a memory card, like inbuilt storage. That's one thing I really quite liked about the Xbox. It's like you didn't have to buy one of those gutty things.
Well, the reason you had to in the first place was that if they were to store onboard RAM on a cart, that was expensive and volatile at the time.
But some games did do it, like...
yeah, but it was battery powered. You couldn't... The RAM was still volatile. You were just subject to a battery, which... CR23s back then were not super cheap, but the circuit for it, the actual capacitor plus the memory mapper chip, that's where it got expensive, because you're including extra RAM that you can't use in game.
Crap.
It's dedicated strictly for saving, and that battery is what keeps a capacitor and that RAM chip powered.
No wonder Rogue Squadron was expensive back in the day, along with GoldenEye. GoldenEye was not cheap. Even the Game of the Year edition that was used was not cheap. I think that was like $50.
Oh yeah, it held its value because it was outside of the latter Mario Party games, it was pretty much the premier, 4-player title for a long time. From 96 till really about the end of 99.
I never actually played that. God damn it, multiplayer. This is where the controls are really starting to let me down. I can't attack those assholes and the tank at the same time.
Well, remember, the N64 controller was designed specifically for one game and one game only.
Yeah, but I remember, like, Sergeant Heroes 2 was a lot better than this, though. Like, they actually were able to fix it pretty well. I mean, the N64 controller can work. And, of course, it works the best with Super Mario 64. And hello, Tim McAndrew and Techstorm.
Yeah.
But, am I gone?
I was saying, hey, then you guys.
Oh. Okay, now I think I can finally destroy this bastard. Maybe. So we got a T-54 tank and a World War II era bazooka, because plastic army men and Vietnam era other equipment. I mean, that makes sense, I guess. Maybe.
Plastic Army Men really, this game actually does, well, the entire series does, hold up the fact that it really was a strange time in between wars where it's like, we need equipment for these sculpts, World War II equipment, we got a new war, Korean War equipment, there's another war, Vietnam.
They kind of stopped at Vietnam, though. Goddamn.
Yeah, well, depends. There's new sculpts now that are not the same army men from the old, which are equipped with Desert Storm stuff, but yeah, for the most part, they really did stop at Vietnam.
I'm surprised this game didn't actually get like an animated series, because like everything got an animated series in the 90s. I mean, even Donkey Kong got one, which was of dubious quality.
Well, it didn't because, unfortunately, 3DO is in its death throes at this
Oh,
point.
crap. I mean,
if you think this is rough, you should see what happened to the Might and Magic series.
that's a series that I've heard of, but I've never had a chance to play just because it looked like it was more difficult than I would personally like.
I will be blunt. The entry point isn't quite where it should be to be, a bona fide timeless classic. But it's still a very, very good series and worth playing.
Come on, thump it over there. Hitting anything in this game, and then I knew he was going to blow me up. Hitting anything in this game is like way more difficult than I remember. And it's just the fact that you can't really... You have to stop and just wait for the camera to catch up. I mean, I can see... This is still pretty ahead of its time, but if anything, this kind of deserves a bit of a remaster. I mean, it would actually be a fairly good game if you just had the means to turn and look at the same time. I mean...
Well, nobody knows who actually owns this anymore. I mean, with Might and Magic, it's Ubisoft, which has both been a blessing and a curse. And Tech, the Brianna Wu Kung Fu Flu, nobody knows where that's going. China is probably very, very hosed at this point. India could possibly be hosed. I'm hoping it, somehow a vaccine is found very, very quickly, because this is, it's kind of serious.
See, I'm kind of like waiting to pass judgment on any of that coronavirus or whatever it's called. I think it's like coronavirus.
Yeah, can you imagine the Corona Beer Company face palming right now?
Yeah. That is... I don't drink beer, but it can't be that bad. Save. Is there anything? General knowledge. I know, it puts me to shame. And I've studied all sorts of random crap throughout the years. But...
Here's my most dad joke about the whole scenario right now is... You know what goes good with the coronavirus? Lyme disease.
I was thinking scurvy. That's the first thing I went to.
that works too.
But I might have been overcomplicating it. Come on, just hit him! I didn't have to just... There we go, finally. See, Battle Tanks isn't quite this bad, but Battle Tanks Global Assault, which we're going to take a look at, is actually a bit worse because you can't aim. There we go. Let's see. But yeah, I'm waiting to pass judgment on this just because remember what happened with SARS? That became like the big thing for a while. Then
SARS actually was a serious threat to China. It wasn't a serious threat to us because thankfully it never escaped containment. Problem is, coronavirus has. There's 2 confirmed cases in California, 1 in Arizona. England just has its first confirmed case of person-to-person contact transmission. India has 3 person-to-person contact transmissions confirmed.
what about
Light virus? Ooh, gives you mullets.
It's even worse. God damn it! But then what about like swine flu? That was a big thing for a while too.
Well, swine flu, thankfully, was not generally, person-to-person contact related. It was something that was, thankfully, very, very limited in how it was contagious and how its vectors of spreading were available. It's still a big problem. I mean, right now it is actually affecting China's pork belly markets.
Well, that's something to be terrified about, among other things.
No, yes and no. I mean, that's for anybody living outside of China, that's more of a financial thing because China relies on us for clean pork.
Now, see, I did not know that. I thought like they had their own indigenous industry for that.
No, ever since the first swine flu incident, we actually took over their pork belly markets. It's we actually hold a pretty darn high level of sway with them. I mean, the trade war, even not accounting for this disease, and nobody could see this. Well, let me rephrase that. Nobody on a strictly fiscal level could see this disease coming. If you're working on a pathological level, yeah, you knew an epidemic was coming, but that's regardless for this. Right now, because of the trade war that's going on, garlic farmers in America are ecstatic because they're not competing with China for the most part. Not anymore.
See, like, trade is just a really complicated thing that I have no knowledge of. Like, not even a little bit of knowledge of. Like, I didn't even know garlic farming was that big of a deal. I had no idea.
Up until, really, this trade war, most garlic in America was Chinese outsourced.
Huh. No clue about that. Come on, hit him already. You got a shotgun? I always like the sound of the shotgun in this game. Unrelated from fucking pandemics killing everyone.
Sean, not really, because the first known vector of the coronavirus has been in bats. It could affect our ecology, but not really so much our economy. At least not in a traditional way. It's already affected Hollywood. They've had to shut down a lot of things. It's already cost $1 billion.
Holy shit. News about what? AK-12 Yes.
The AK-12 is nice, but I'll be blunt. The issued AK-12 is different than the prototype tech. And the good news is we are getting the AK-100 series thanks to Palmetto State Armory. Prices for the non-deluxe models, you're looking at entry point MSRP of $700 to right at the cusp of $800 for the deluxe models with FN cold hammer forged barrels.
It's like, of course they'd come out with that just as I get my bloody AK.
Your AK is good, and that being said, I would enjoy that, and you can go to, Rifle Dynamics, you can go to,
oh, crap.
Mark Krebs, and they can gear you up to 100 spec pretty darn quick.
Oh god, the game is just lagging like you wouldn't believe. It's like, it's just a building! How is that causing the game to lag?
Well, you've got particle effects, you've got spawn of enemies, animations. It's all down to culling. I remark this does actually have distance culling, but that's the only distance culling I'm willing to bet that's genuinely in this game is LOD, level of detail.
See, now I got 60 FPS. And oh my god.
Conclusion.
Let's see. Sarge's Heroes. Punch of the Century. Hopefully not. I didn't know there was a PS version. Or PS1 version.
No, it's not particularly good.
The PS1 was not that powerful. So.
Well, it's not a matter of power, it's a matter of it's just not a good port.
Oh, it's one of those things. I think we're in Kansas. You're a Green Army man. You shouldn't even know what Kansas is. So, this of course came out, I think, a few years after Toy Story 1. So, in this, you're a Green Army man, you're Sarge here, and you have a portal that leads you to the real world. The only thing is, this is where I would like to see a little bit of explanation. Like, okay, is he just imagining that portal, or what? Or is that a real portal? Or did some kid just drop his little, pail of army men in the shower? It seems kind of ambiguous. It's like there should be a Sarge's Heroes novelization. I'd read it. There's actually a Descent novelization. There's 3 Descent novels, and I have all 3 of them, as you would expect. I don't remember if they're good or bad or not. I'm assuming they are...
They're not bad.
Oh, you actually read them?
Yeah, they're not that bad. I mean, they did about as much as they could. The Post-Terran Mining Corporation is less of a series of mustache-twirling villains as they are in the later Descent titles.
Yeah, because I remember nothing about it. And also, did you know that 3DO made a shampoo? I mean, I guess they probably did.
Not to my knowledge, no. They came up with some pretty weird promo packages back in the day, but I don't ever recall them releasing a shampoo.
They could have sold. They could have sold a Sergeant's Hero shampoo. At least like 5 kids would have bought it. The 5 kids who knew this game existed.
Yeah, in my generation, you had freaking Smurfs shampoo.
Smurf.
I mean, they would market the heck out of anything. But unfortunately, like I say, by the time Sarge's Heroes, after the original PC RTS game came out, 3DO was hurting. I mean, this was their Hail Mary here, and it unfortunately did not work.
No, I mean, this is kind of like... This is not their, Sonic the Hedgehog equivalent. Also, this is a weird shower, I just realized. After playing this game for years, I just realized who has 1, 2, 3, 4 bottles of shampoo and...
Knock off Mr. Bubbles.
Yeah, it's like... They either have a shitload of kids, which... Ugh, or... Yeah... Also, I love he doesn't actually hold the shotgun. Oh god, the lag. It's like... I can just picture the N64 just like, please, just kill me now. Come on, hit him! The shotgun's not that inaccurate. Ah, fuck it. Yeah, let's try to throw a grenade. I'm lucky that they can't actually hit me because they're just busy shooting that bar of soap. But actually throwing a grenade is like an exercise in futility. And there is the Frenchie.
N64. The funny thing I've found out recently, and everybody found out recently because it just really came to light, we have coders who stripped apart Mario 64 down to its basic assembly language C. The funny thing is, there's actually no optimization in Super Mario 64. It's all raw code.
That's kind of nutty.
There's a group that's rewriting it to take care of optimizations to try to, eliminate some of the slowdown that's present in the title, but...
I don't know why they wouldn't do that. I mean, it is Nintendo, after all. You think they would want to put their best foot forward, so to speak. Or maybe they just didn't have time.
No, it's not a matter of that. It's a matter of when you introduce optimization. Optimization is used sometimes erroneously as a form of compression. And while optimization does make it work better on the hardware, it's not naked code. It's you're talking specialized code there, which means you can get a lot more glitches if you're not super, super careful about it.
The fact that it runs as well as it does is still pretty amazing. Because I remember there being that much slowdown back in the day, but then again, I only ever used my N64 with the RF switch box. I don't know what the frames per second in RF switch box actually gives. I don't think anyone ever really cared back in the day.
An RF box will give you... that we won't change the frame rate. It'll only change the resolution by the fact that you're getting the entire signal of both audio and video pumped down a tiny piece of coaxial.
I honestly don't remember if the overall quality was that bad. Fort Plastro. What's funny is Castro lived so long, it's utterly insane. Didn't he die like in 2018? Something like that?
Yeah. I mean, I still have a Radio Gitmo shirt somewhere in my closet. I'll have to pull out one of these days. I mean, my parents died before Castro did.
One thing that's kind of sick about Castro is just the fact that all those, I think, world leaders are like, oh, we lost a great man. No, you didn't! He was a horrible dictator!
He was a monster. And TechStorm, yes, it is. Although, here's the thing. Licensing and design doesn't mean anything if you don't have what's known as the TDP, the Technical Data Package. You need that to make the rifle. Just having a blueprint and schematics is not enough to make a rifle. It's enough to have the idea, but it's not going to tell you the materials needed. It's not going to tell you the heat treatment needed. It's only going to tell you the measurements.
Also, that image of Grimm's daughter back there, Oh dear. That's some nightmare fuel right there. Oh god.
16 colors.
But look, see, giving her lipstick, she looks like some sort of Cinnabite almost. It's like everyone else is a toy, but she's like some sort of weird bastardized Barbie doll. Also, you gotta love that one, like, polygon for the camera.
That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I had 16 polygons.
Let's see, and I have not actually seen the YC9, or YC9, I should say. The Yeet Cannon.
It's coming along pretty well. But the problem is that in the downtime, you've got, for just $100 more, you have the PSA 9 dagger. Well, MSRP. Let me be blunt about that. We don't know the full actual retail price of the YC9.
So, yeah. I don't know. I think I might get that dagger. Alright, now we're moving on to another 3DO game. Battle Tanks. Okay, this is pure 90s. Like, it is the most 90s thing you will ever see. Like, if you thought Sergeant's Heroes was 90s, you have no idea what you're about to see. This is the stuff of legend. I would love to see, if Spoonie was still, you know, sane, I would totally love to see him do something on this. Because I think it'd be great. The Fall. January 3rd.
Alternate universe.
Yeah. January 3rd, 2001. The Center for Disease Control in Atlanta classifies a newly discovered virus as a level 4 hot agent, for which there are no vaccines. Okay, basically, 99 women can't get pregnant. Queens, New York, March 23rd, 2001. Madison, why is your head so square-shaped? Will you? Yes. And then, UPI focus. Government declares martial law. Washington, D.C. D.C. does not look like that. With female death rates increasing astronomically, the United States government declares martial law. Army and National Guard troops advance on all major cities with orders to evacuate all females to secured quarantine zones. Oh my god, the Sinovirus of the 90s! Northern California. So wait, are you sure this is not just a plot by the radical feminists?
We don't know.
Because Northern California seems kind of suspicious.
Well, remember, this is the 90s. The third wave hadn't fully kicked off yet.
To help combat mounting civil unrest, government forces are authorized to use deadly force. I'm not sure how accurate this would be. And also, how would they even collect all the females? You know, would they just show up? Would the military do that? I think this is where it's very 90s. So yeah, what I want to remind, and they're still kissing, by the way. Despite all this, they're just there. Oh god, that's a face. That's another face. I don't know which one's uglier. Okay, so remember, this is a little game where you drive around in tanks shooting other tanks. This is the plot they come up with. You know, that's one thing I love about the 90s, because they would do stuff like this. I mean, and this is something where they're not trying to be a retro or throwback or something, or trying to be ridiculous. And it's like, today they would make it way too serious or make it way too silly. Today, a lot of these developers kind of lack why this was the way it was. Sadly, Battle Tanks is not as popular as it should be, but I love this plot, because it is like the most out there, batshit insane plot for any game where you drive around with tanks.
Oh man, you gotta go back and play the older 3DO games such as Might and Magic. Their stories got weird.
Now, I thought Might and Magic was made by a different company, though. Or am I thinking of a different game? Oh, I'm thinking of Wizardry. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, well, Wizardry got pretty weird too, but no, Might and Magic was New World Computing, which became 3DO, and I'm not going to spoil it because it just goes so out there.
Now, what?
Also, tech. Yet again, PSA. We're getting the entire AK-100 series here in the U.S. thanks to PSA. They reversed engineered it.
And they come up with names. It would come up with so there are 50,000 females for 50 million males. Oh my. Well, now if only they could convert like half of them to bank tellers, it wouldn't be so bad. So civilization comes to an end on May 6th. So here's the funny thing. So the implication here is there's a nuclear war over, well, not being able to get horizontal with the ladies. So yeah. I mean, it's kind of interesting. Without female guidance, they revert primal instincts, which somehow extends to making tanks work, which is not an easy prospect. And I can't even imagine the kind of maintenance required to make an Abrams work for like a day.
If you're doing 24-hour operations, you're refueling it at least twice, and you're going to end up stripping down the engine. 24-hour cycle. Nobody's going to do a 24-hour cycle for a month, but if you were, mathematically speaking, you're tearing down that engine once a month.
All right, so Griffin is trying to rescue Madison from the clutches of the evil government. I think I wasn't actually paying that close attention. Okay, so here we go. All that was to explain this: why it's post-apocalyptic and why you're tooling around in an Abrams. Now, here's the fun. The weapons of choice for all gangs are the battle tanks. Tanks are rebuilt and maintained using whatever scraps and spare parts can be salvaged from the aftermath of the apocalypse. The once great city known as New York is now a nightmare of scorched concrete canyons, ruled by a mutant gang known as the Urban Decay. Oh, that name did not end
beautiful.
Well.
Oh no, Urban Decay was very much a real thing during this era. It was being fought by Giuliani. It was basically what we call nowadays broken window policing.
But I was also saying, like, Ground Zero, like, yeah, that didn't age well either.
Oh, no. Remember, this is right before Deus Ex. This is right before anybody could even remotely think that, the Twin Towers are done. They're done.
So...
That's actually a complex story. Remember that Sig Sauer US and Swiss Arms SAN are two separate companies, and they're owned by one umbrella company, which is gotta talk right. Zweite Industrie Gesellschaft, which is what SIG stands for. SIG makes a lot of things, from guns to food storage containers to trailers for industrial diesels to even train cars for carrying perishable goods. The reason it's not brought here in the U.S. by Sig Sauer is because the fact that while they are owned by the same parent company, they're two different DBAs, which is known as doing business as. So SAN, Swiss Arms, and Sig Sauer are two separate companies. There is a company in Texas known as JDI that does import the SAN rifles and parts so that you can build your own. But I'll warn you, if you think a SCAR is expensive, you're going to hurt.
Because, yeah, anything SIG is not cheap. And I might get blown up. Also, I love how this tank has a license tag that says, "Eat me." I mean, that's 90s. It's just beautifully, beautifully 90s. So, when I did not read the story, but I will. What I gotta ask, though, is this very important question of, okay, this tank requires at least a crew of 4. At least. Because it doesn't have an autoloader or anything like that. Yes, I've been watching Chieftain's Hatch for like the past week. Shut up. So, what are they going to get paid with? Is he like going to share Madison with them? I mean, that's probably the only kind of... Yeah. It's best not to be thought about. I wonder if
that and the fact that there's another plot point to this that goes on down the road into the other games that points to them not having to, but it also leaves the point of, do these guys have free will anymore?
It's the 90s. We don't ask these questions. I would read a Battle Tanks novel. I mean, it'd be kind of interesting to see. I mean, there are novels for, like, Resistance, which... I've read the Resistance... Well, one of the novels, and it's interesting. I mean, it's not... Resistance is one of those franchises that didn't really stand the test of time, mainly because the plot really wasn't well thought out. I mean, say what you will about Halo, but that was a plot that actually had some thought put into it, whereas Resistance was like alternate history, aliens, and yeah. So it doesn't really work that well.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, if there was a novelization of this, it would be about as good as some of the really classic pulpy survivalist novels of the 1980s and 90s.
Yeah, I can see that. Kind of like, there's a novel series which I haven't read in many years called The Warlord, where it's the irradiated ruins of New York City in 1991. The Warlord has a crossbow that he uses to dispense justice. That's basically it. I think they all had those really, like, overly dramatic, like, manly man names, like Stuart Kill a Guy. Well, it's not... Stuart Killian, there we go. He had some kind of name like that. I remember nothing about the series other than the fact that he had a crossbow. And the only reason I read it, because crossbow on the cover. I think that's pretty much how a lot of those books were sold. It's like, you give it a good...
little bit. I mean, I'll admit, I'm a sucker for some of those. I mean, specifically Jerry Ahern. The Survivalist series was my crack in the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, I liked it so much that when Jerry Ahern bought the Detonics company, I went out of my way to directly buy a Detonics Combat Master from him.
I vaguely remember what that's... I think my grandfather had some books set in that series. What was the setting for that? Was that like a post-World War III thing, and like America got invaded by Cuba or something like that?
Well, basically it was World War III, America versus Russia. Eventually it turns nuclear, and the entire series, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the entire series follows essentially one man's family throughout the entirety of this, and it gets a little weird in the later stories.
There's a lot of, like, after the nuclear apocalypse, one man must bring justice to the world.
Oh, this wasn't about bringing justice to the world. This is just basically about, okay, let's have a few less scumbags in this irradiated hellscape.
And you can feast on irradiated Doritos and Mountain Dew.
100 rats.
Times Square, the soul of the Big Apple, was a place where thousands used to come to ring in the new year with tidings of good cheer and joy. When the ball dropped in 2001, it opened the doors of Armageddon. Is that really how they did it? When they started ringing in the new year, they just started launching the nukes? I guess that's one way to do it. Ringing in the nightmare of mass destruction. Now Times Square is the territorial home of Urban Decay. It sounds like a rap group.
Could be, yeah. And TechStorm, Frankie USA only imports and converts certain shotguns to 922R. You can't really do that with a SPOS 15. And there's no importation you can perform. They don't have any real manufacturing ability in Frankie USA. I mean, Beretta, Benelli, Frankie are all owned by the same company, but understand that they're all different DBAs. They're all treated as separate businesses, and you know, Beretta has a little bit of manufacturing here in the USA because of the old U.S. Army contract. They still have their plants. They can make pistols and a few things here in America. No, Benelli crap. Sort of does. I mean, they make they make some parts in the U.S., but they do not manufacture any shotguns in the U.S. The shotguns are manufactured in Italy, and you still have the, for sporting use clause when it comes from the Brady Bill when it comes to importation. So you just can't get in. If you're, like, say I want an M1014 USMC shotgun. I can't get it in that configuration to start with. I have to change out 7 parts to US parts for 922R compliance. Then I can get it in that configuration.
You know, it does make me wonder, though. When it comes to a lot of those firearms of the 80s and early 90s, before the that Brady bill got passed, all those different firearms and things of that nature, were they ever really popular, though? Did they ever really get... Because I wasn't alive or aware enough to really know, but, like, was any of that ever really popular? Did anyone ever really care
some
that
of it
much?
was. Like, the HKG3s, or rather the SR9T, was actually very popular. The HK SP9, or SP89 as well, it was pretty popular for what it was. It wasn't, you know, it was a 16-inch barreled 9mm roller delayed blowback carbine for about $600 to $800, depending on your options. It wasn't great because you got an MP5-esque weapon with a 16-inch barrel. It looks goofy as hell.
Yeah, because, like, I don't know how popular any of those, you know, carbines and things of that nature were back then. I mean, they're popular now, but from what I vaguely recall both reading about and knowing about is, like, the popular rifles at the time were, you know, your typical bolt actions, you know, lever guns and stuff like that. It wasn't until, like...
Oh, the AK was hugely popular as well, so was the SKS, but the SKS you could literally get for about the price of, you know, a good dinner and, you know, a fresh case of beer.
That's one sad part about all those importation bans. Like, now they're like $400. It's like, what is the point? What is the point these days for such a thing?
But yeah, you can't do 922R conversion to a SPOS 15. SPOS 12, you sort of could, but SPOS 12 has not been made since 2000. And it has not been imported since 1996.
96. It's like that was just the other day. And let me see here. Okay, I want to make sure my chat was still synced up as it should be. My army has 4 tanks, apparently. The George Washington Bridge is the only way out of New York City, and is also the urban decay stronghold. The bridge is guarded with mines, gun emplacements, and a huge Goliath tanks. Tanks? Okay, I thought tanks was like the plural form in this universe. It's just a tanks. What's the plural? Tankses? That could have sounded good in their head.
I think really they were trying something there for like extra branding and kind of realized they failed.
It's like, tanks is... God. See, now I kind of want to know, like, what would an actual tanker make of this game, though? Ooh, the guided missile. I remember I loved this thing.
Well, I know a few tankers, and they'd probably get a good solid laugh and realize, hey, it's a fun game, but it's nothing like the real thing at all.
Because as we know, you can just bolt on a guided missile. Crap.
Well, yes and no. I mean, remember, U.S. military did sort of experiment with missile-based ammo for the patent. We didn't do it with Abrams because that was far too late.
Yeah, they're still cranking these things out.
No, they're not. They haven't cranked out an Abrams since the last Gulf War. That thing has been in. All of our Abrams are from mothballs.
No, I thought they were still making...
We'll upgrade them, but we haven't cranked out a new one really since '93.
Huh. It's a very 40K thing of just chucking a grenade out of your tank. Yeah, this game's actually aged pretty well. I'd actually say this has aged a lot better than Sergeant Heroes, because the controls are a lot better. I mean, they're still kind of crap, but it's not just utter, you know, pain to try to turn the tank. I'm being shot by something.
And tech, the reason for the barrel length on World War II issued pistols is nobody thought of CCW back then. It was a foreign concept. It was whatever gun you had, you could either hide it or you could use it. There was no science to it. The fact that propellant back then is nowhere near as good as it is now. So that barrel length really is to maximize the velocity of the ammunition.
See, that's one thing I think people don't take into account, though. Crap. If I die, I'm just going to switch to the next game. Oh, there's a bunch of health. Never mind. This will be the last level I play this, though. Ammo has actually improved tremendously over the last, well, 70 years since World War II. And from back in World War I. Because evidently that ammo was complete shit. The World War I ammo, that is.
That was better than black powder, but it was definitely not good.
Although I do wonder, like, were the cartridges of the Old West as bad as, like, mass-produced World War I ammo? Because since it was made in peacetime, they'd had more time to spend on it, so...
Yeah, but the thing is, you had more time to spend on it, but you also didn't have the same advancements that we had in World War I. World War I gave us a lot as in terms of, you know, actual advancements.
You see, that's always an interesting thing, like, ammo actually... It is little things that you never really notice when it comes to firearms, like, ammo from back, like, in the 70s was not as good as ammo is today. Although, like, when did ammo start really getting good, though? Would that have been...
Depends. I mean, if you're talking small market, back in the 70s, 80s, and a good chunk of the 90s, you had Corbon, which was the gold standard. You had Buffalo Bore in the 90s, which was very, very good. And in terms of defensive ammo, we started seeing things like Starfire and, you know, Black Talon in the 90s, which Black Talon technically still exists. It's Winchester PDX. The only difference is they don't call it Black Talon because mainly there's no point to the Teflon anymore. We found out quite the opposite. It didn't do anything in terms of reducing cleaning. It actually made cleaning worse.
Also, Black Talon just sounds awesome. Let's see, I check the chat here. And William Hall, I'm doing well enough, I suppose. What else? Long barrels. And yes, happy Brexit Day indeed. I'm surprised that actually came to pass.
You and me both.
Because I would have thought, because, yeah, it is the UK. Not trying to disparage the UK fans, but, yeah. My thought would have been that would have never happened. But, well, thankfully it has.
Oh, my ex-fiance is probably partying tonight.
So, yeah, I mean, it's good to see the UK is actually being, you know, it remembered that it had balls. Like, I guess they'd always been there. They just kind of forgot they had them. I still, you know, it's kind of funny, though. Back when I was younger, it was like the EU was like, yeah, it's going to be like Star Trek. We're all going to be happy together. Oh, wait.
Yeah, that was the biggest deception.
Yeah, you know, it's like the whole world government concept. Oh, God, this tank. This tank. Oh, man. This is, yeah. The Goliath tank's just zipping around, like...
Who gave the driver meth?
It's like how, it's like on this little railroad thing. Like I imagine a real Abrams would just completely nail that thing from like 2 miles out. I'm gonna try to beat this boss, but like it's like my God. Let's see if I can find some sort of power up. But yeah, the whole world government concept was something that Star Trek made it look like, yeah, if we can just get along, everything will be just... No, it won't.
Well, here's the thing. I can never fault Roddenberry's enthusiasm and his positivity. The guy is... Ooh. The guy was an absolute beacon of positivity. The guy still is an absolute beacon of positivity. He may be passed on, but the legacy he left... before CBS, Paramount decided to try their best to destroy it, was one of a general good. He's like Bob Ross. You cannot knock him on the fact that, you know, he's trying to turn every situation into a positive. That's something to be lauded.
Okay, I've got no health. Ah, damn it! I was gonna try to like hide behind there. Evidently, Star Trek Picard isn't that great. I've not had a chance to see the first episode yet.
It's awful. It's not STD levels of awful, but it's awful.
Oh, damn it. Fuck.
It is. it like STD goes out of its way to urinate on everything Roddenberry has done.
I've seen some like thumbnails saying, "Why are there Discovery ships in Star Trek Picard?" And I'm like, why would there be Discovery?
Because it's Kelvin timeline.
Yeah, but like the ships are really old, and they were, unless it's, I don't even know. And boom.
The real answer is because it's Kelvin timeline. A bad reboot cannot pay that much money to Paramount CBS for the rights to use the original iconography.
I am not surprised. And yes, the C-96 was the Han Solo blaster. That's why I kind of wanted one for many years. Oh, yeah! That being said, Rain and I might actually resurrect the Mall Ninja series.
Well, here's the thing. I've got one Discord I've got to strip the chat out of. And I got to warn you, I'm going to be doing a lot of editing because I got to protect the names, and this chat gets pretty spicy.
See, all you gotta do is just call him Gecko, like Gecko 40. There you go. Oh, wait, no, Gecko 45 caliber special. Oh, no, Gecko 45 special. There we go.
No, Gecko 45 Gap.
Yeah, there you go. Do they even make 45 Gap anymore?
It's exceptionally hard to find. You can still find the brass and projectiles, sure, but pre-made ammo is really tough.
Yeah, because it's like, that was something that was never going to get popular.
It's not a bad round, it's just, it was never destined for the American market. It was never going to happen.
Yeah, because it's not really necessary. But I do have another Mall Ninja thing that I sent you, Rain. I don't know if you saw it. On somebody just completely shitting over the M1 Garand. One of the things...
All I can say, he's never had to do work on an M14.
Well, the thing he said that really annoyed me was like, oh yeah, even if you have like the best of the best M1 Garand, it's like in a jam, and it's like, I took mine out and...
You can get an M1 Garand to jam. You can get any gun to jam, but it doesn't make it doesn't mean it was common. The Garand, unlike the M14, actually had a much better gas system.
Let's see here. Oh yeah,
it's still open receiver, so if you get it through mud, it's going to choke puke. But
okay, if you're wondering,
you take care of your rifle, it's fine.
Well, before we get back to that, for those wondering why there was a flaming bear on the 3DO logo, I still remember this commercial to this day. Oh my god, I'm sure it's on YouTube. So, Battle Tanks Global Assault had a marketing campaign where they took the what was it? It was some kind of bear that like sold shampoo or something.
No, it was fabric softener. It's a snuggle bear.
Yeah, where they like set him on fire. It was the most 90s thing ever. Griffin Spade, Battlelord. Maybe you've heard of me. How have you kept those M1 Abrams running after all this time? Where did you get the gasoline? Where did you get the ammo? Where did you get all the little parts that you need to actually make a tank run?
Well, in terms of the fuel, really, they could have essentially, the old pumps could still go, and you can refine naphthalene for pretty easy. That's not too hard. The small parts, that would have consisted of years of raiding military bases, actually, to be specific, Army bases and USMC bases. After that, no clue.
Yeah, the Rattler. I vaguely remember what that is. 1999. Come on, go! I'm clicking. Go. Some of these games do not like to just get to the menu. The music in this is really, really good. But go on.
Tech Gecko 45 was mentioning the special weapons MP5s, and those were essentially really, really bad clones made by Todd the Toad Bailey. The actual MP5K wasn't a prototype. It was a legitimately issued firearm. It was issued to British SAS, GSG-9, several other offices where they needed a small MP5 that essentially carried a bit like a pistol. They had the operator's briefcase, and go look it up on YouTube after this. I highly recommend it. Where it could be fired from inside the suitcase. It was actually a pretty good piece of kit. And Tin Tan Man, the M14 is the Mini 14 is not better than a good M14. It is certainly, the Mini 14 is certainly better than anything Springfield ever put out, but not anything official or, say, Beulah, Rock Island Armory, I can't talk. James River
like, oh god,
Armory.
you wouldn't be able to talk if you saw that face.
Yeah.
Yeah, let that haunt your nightmares. But go on.
I have need for sledgehammer.
I think you're thinking of Rock River Arms.
No, it's James River Armory.
Oh. There's a lot of rivers.
Yes, very much so.
But as we can see, this game is a lot more graphically impressive than the first one, but you can't really aim, which is like the main thumbstick here. It's a lot more... Its frame rate's better, but for me, I always like the first one a little more. Also, they got more tanks, like the flame tank. Like, that would not really be that dangerous.
And not to another tank, but to infantry, it sure as heck would be.
Well, yeah. It's like the, what was it, the Hellhound? The Hell something. From 40K.
Yeah, it's a Hellhound.
Which is a modified Chimera. I'm always surprised that 40K is as popular as it is, because growing up, like, no one ever talked about it. No one ever cared. I was the only one that, like, read any...
It's been around for almost 30 years. It took a long time for it to get popular in the U.S.
So her face in the profile picture looks terrible, but her body actually looks good. Which is the exact opposite of what you would actually find on Tinder. Oh yeah, this is the plot for this is evil redhead chick has psychic powers, because 90s, wants to steal the kid of Griffin Spade.
Fear the power of the edge. Oh no, not Lincoln Park.
Alright, so let's see here.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is early 2000s, so it'd be, oh no, not corn, for Limp Bizkit.
Oh god, neither one of those. God, I remember those used to come on the radio all the time, and I always wanted to turn it off. I mean, Korn is not very good, and Korn is not actually. The name belies the quality of the music. Also, where did she get an attack sub? Okay, seriously, an attack sub? It's like, how do you keep it running? Did she promise to sleep with everyone? Is it going to be some sort of giant 90s surge-filled orgy or something?
Yeah, pretty much. It's Brazzers video.
You know, honestly, if I was going to do a review, I would say those are the most generic videos of, like, all time, though.
That's the point.
It's like, it's just painful. It's just painful. And not in a good way. Wait, no, I probably shouldn't say that. Come on, go!
And yes, Tech, I've actually played through the 3 CDI Zelda games. It was rough.
Okay, that's more painful than that. Why? Why would it... Okay, what artistic merit do the CDI games actually have, though?
Some games are actually pretty good. Most of them are, like, really, really... Well, they were made before Macromedia Flash, if that'll give you an idea of what's going on.
The compression is real.
Well, no, it was a series of games that were made for a system that was never intended to play games. It was meant to be essentially a multimedia machine. And the Mario CDI game actually isn't bad. It's not good, but it's not bad. It's passable.
Flea market and trailer park. 2 places I would like to avoid.
Trailer park, yeah, I'll avoid that. Flea market, I don't know. Sometimes you can find some really cool stuff there.
Well, the next game we're going to look at is one I actually did find at a flea market that now sucks. Because too many people started showing up there, and it became overly commercialized, and yeah. Okay, because after this, don't get hit by the train! I got hit by the goddamn train.
There was a flea market by us where we actually found our first pinball table.
Oh. Not bad. What was it?
Essentially, it was a 1960s Maverick pinball table. It was actually pretty fun. It's also we go there to find parts and things like that to keep it maintained. It was actually pretty cool back then. I mean, when everybody was buying new stuff, things like that, we my family, we still had computers and things like that, but we still had some modern stuff. But I was a weird kid in that I wanted to play Atari 2600 games, and they were cheap. So we'd load up, go to the flea market. You know, I'm getting like 50 games for like $10.
And see, like, I never really liked the Atari that much. And I have played some of the games these days. I guess it's a bit lost on me, but I just never really could get into them because they're just so simple.
Well, understand, when I was a kid, I did have a Nintendo come, the mid 80s. But I grew up, my earliest gaming was on an Atari 2600. It was on a ColecoVision. It was on the Intellivision. So, that's what I knew as gaming. The Nintendo was great. I mean, don't get me wrong, but 7-year-old me wants the very pick up and play games. Just grab a game, have fun, get good at the game, and if you get bored, you can move on. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I guess I can see that. Like, which ones did you enjoy the most back in the day?
For the Intellivision, this is going to sound strange. Cloudy Mountain and Treasure of Tarman, the D&D games were awesome back then. Because I blame my brothers because they were big into D&D. For the Atari 2600, I spent a lot of time on Pitfall. Me and my brothers played a lot of Tank Battle. Warlords was absolutely awesome. If you had the paddle controllers for the 2600 and 4 players, that was...
And see, that
that's
makes
still
sense.
good to this day.
It's like there was some pretty good multiplayer for that. For me, it's just like after you get through with Pitfall and like Empire Strikes Back, it's like, well, what else is there that's really worth playing?
Frogger was always a big hit around the house.
Oh yeah, Frogger. I always forget about that game. I actually played the arcade in real life once, and only once because, annoyingly enough, there was a movie theater that had it, and literally the next time I came to the movie theater, like a week later, it was gone. It's like, I don't even know what they did with it, but it was great while it lasted.
I don't know how he got it from horse trading, but at one time he actually got paid off for a job for somebody who couldn't really afford the job by being given a Centipede arcade machine, and he gave that to Mom. And was like, she was playing that for ages.
Very nice indeed. We'll go nuts with the AK and make something of an AN94 clone? Probably not.
No, but I can confirm they actually are looking into a Dragunov clone.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that. I don't really get the point to that though. I mean, I guess for the collector's market and stuff like that, but like for the price they're going to ask for that, you might as well just get a 308 AR and be done with it.
Yes and no. I mean,
oh yeah, you got to destroy those. I forgot. No, don't exit. Oh, always forget that escape is exit.
There's the 308R is a different concept. It's not as durable, but you can make it a lot more accurate. It's really kind of hard to explain, especially saying there's no set standard for 308Rs. There's 4 standards plus offshoots.
Yeah, but like for the civilian market, though, I wouldn't imagine.
No, there's 4 standards plus offshoots for the civilian market. For the U.S. military market, or rather the global military market, there's actually 6 standards.
Damn. I had no idea. Also, smashy smashy! The fucking moto tanks. It's like, who thought that was a good idea? I think I won. I'm not really sure how I won, but I did. It's one of those games where it's kind of weird. It's like, what am I doing exactly? Tank bucks, because in the future you pay in tank. Well, if you were in a battle tank's future, I guess you would need to pay in like tank parts. The Skull Raiders worked for the Clean Ward who drove us out of San Francisco. Looks like she rules an empire. She has bases all over the U.S. and even Europe. How?
Mind control.
By train to a fortress in Texas. She conquered Texas! This does not rock. Genetics.
This does not compute.
Stop. Texas! Also, whatever the fuck his name is, Griffin actually has a face now. Okay, and I remember this level was horrible, so we're actually just going to save here and move on to a game that I picked up at a... It's a complete, like, 180 here. Okay, so we've been blowing the crap out of a variety of different things, which is precisely why the next game we're going to take a look at is Wave Race 64. I got this from a flea market called Trader's Village. It's complete crap now, unfortunately, but way back in the 90s, it was, like, the shit. So, I got this for, like, $10. And this...
Oh, lucky you. I got this day one, and it cost me out the ass.
I would imagine, because, yeah. This is still a pretty good game, even to this day. The controls could be a little better, but it's damn good. I suck at racing games, but I still love this as a kid. Let me check the chat
It still
here.
pushes about 96% of the N64's power.
Damn. Clones of V55. Suppress Sub 2000.
The Suppress Sub 2000 looks like a lot of fun. As for the Val, the Gros, the VS, all that. Yes, Groza. There's no plans on it because we actually have to, for the Groza, we'd have to manufacture the ammunition as well. Wolf is looking into manufacture of the ammunition for potential future support, but there's nothing concrete yet.
Welcome to Sunny Beach.
Still, though, would anyone really care that much to make it popular enough, though?
You might see something through Krebs. I mean, the Groza, I could see him making a one-stamp integrated, suppressed, integrally suppressed rifle.
Oh god, this is where I already probably start to lose it. The joystick's not that good.
Oh yeah, if you're gonna play this game, you really pretty much need a fresh, working N64 analog stick.
Okay, there we go. Let's save. Because I don't want to lose. I don't crash into the thing, idiot. I always wanted a jet ski. I have absolutely no need for one, but they're pretty nice.
Oh, they're fun to rent. I don't know about owning one.
This is like, well, I was gonna say it's like F-Zero for the N64, but there is an F-Zero for the N64, and it's also really good. So,
Well, the funny thing is, this is actually a sequel to a Game Boy game.
really, I had no idea.
Yeah, Wave Race on the Game Boy.
Now that I got. Oh crap! No. That is something I gotta look up. God damn it! This is a lot better than I remember, but it could have been that my joystick was. Well, I can guarantee it was old. Come on, come on. You the fat guy. I actually got first place. I don't remember ever doing that back in the day. But then again, I didn't have save states either. Or maybe it was the glory of the chat. I've not played any wrestling games just because I'm not a big fan of wrestling. And I don't think
Just avoid the Acclaim wrestling games and go for instead the Aki made games, and you're really good.
Yeah, I just
And
never got the
Tech,
idea.
no one. There's. Okay, let me get some things straight here. On the Weapon Makers Guild, we did make a few clones of the L85A2. One of our members even went so far to talk to Marty Daniels to get the Daniel Defense RAS for the L85. And while it worked, it was a pain in the absolute butt. I mean, it took most of us on that forum to get the thing to work.
See, like, I consider that, like, utterly... That is mad science to me, trying to get something like that to work. Like, why would you even want to? It's a piece of crap.
That's because there's only 5 now L85s, L86s in the U.S., and they were all made on the Weapon Makers forum. That was a group project. We busted our butts helping out in any way we could. It was a big group project.
That is utter insanity. Leave it in Britain where it belongs.
Well, it's Weapon Makers Forum. I mean, we discuss things like, I want to make a belt fade 12 gauge.
Okay, see, that has merit. That has artistic merit. But it's like...
We're a bunch of nutters.
Come on, beat the Pink Ranger. As a kid, I always referred to the chick as the Pink Ranger because, well, she kind of looks like one.
No, it was the 90s. This is back when JT Racing gear was bright freaking colors.
Come on.
Back when JT was actually still a racing brand.
No! Yeah, he's not celebrating now, is he? He's like, and third place. Fuck it. Let's see.
Mediocre.
And hello, low budget TV. Over a decade? God, don't make me feel any older than I already am. Now, I wonder if, like, any of these people are real, though. Like, is M. Jeter, like,
No, these are based off of... Originally, the characters were based roughly off of staff, but the names were just basically pick and choose. The only license this game has is from Jet Ski. The uniforms are kind of ripped off of Body Glove swimsuits and JT Racing apparel. Nintendo didn't have much for licensing, and how they got the license for Jet Ski was Jet Ski offered to pay them. So it was like, okay, we'll take it.
Oh. Okay. What's kind of funny though is like I have no idea about like the jet ski racing scene. The only jet ski racing I've ever seen or have ever played is in this game, and that's it.
I used to watch it a little bit, but the closest I ever come was back in Gulf Shores and in Pensacola. We used to rent jet skis because it was not that expensive. You spend your $50 deposit and your $30 for the fuel for the day, and you got the jet ski for like 4 hours.
That sounds awesome. The music in this game is absolutely amazing. Like, this is one of those games that, like, it sounds as good as it plays.
Yeah, they really knocked out every last possible thing they could with this game. The sequel in GameCube was... but sadly, we need another sequel. We need something as bright and positive as this.
Yeah, I'll see. Although I get the feeling if they made a game like this today, what they would end up doing is there'd be a lot of microtransactions. It's like, get a jet ski that looks like, Jetty McJetterson, the jet ski champion from 1902. Or, well, not 1902, but still.
I don't see Nintendo doing that. Maybe another company, especially if it's AAA, I could see them very much doing that. But Nintendo, nah, I see them... If they'd ever chase this or F-Zero again, I have a feeling outside of their usual internet fee you have to pay, there wouldn't be much by means of microtransactions, if anything at all.
I would like to see another F-Zero. Like, F-Zero is a series they should not have let die, because that is like the only... Outside of this, that's the only other racing game I've actually enjoyed. I might actually play some of that.
Welcome to Marine Fortress.
Marine Fortress? Yeah, I think I'll do one more map of this. Let me check the chat real quick after I can pause. It looks like this might have been like an arcade game at some point.
Well, Sega, in roughly the same span, released a jet ski arcade game, though that being said, the water effects in this are actually nicer.
The water in this is, for 96, pretty bloody amazing.
It's very advanced because it was the first time, an entire mesh was used for a level, and it's a pseudo-randomly generated animated mesh with rough, what can be interpreted as rough physics. It's pretty advanced for its time.
And Underwater Assault Rifle, yeah, I remember that. The only reason I knew about that was from Delta Force 2 on PC.
About the same time, HK released an underwater pistol, which actually is pretty good.
And the N64 is one of the greatest systems of all time. It just needed a slightly better... It needed a controller that wasn't dependent upon one joystick, and if that joystick goes, you are fucked. Oh, crap, crap, crap! Oh god, this is... I remember this level. I never actually was able to get past this, I don't think. I don't think this is a real racetrack. I was gonna say...
none of them are real racetracks. This is just...
You realize the insurance rate on something like this? Oh yeah, let's throw some crates in the water. Yeah, that's not dangerous. This is like, it's more like pod racing.
Video games, you can do some things that you can't exactly do in real life.
It's like, I'd hate to be the one that has to pay, like, oh yeah, Jet McJet guy, he crashed into a crate and got his skull cracked in like 3 different places.
No, and he's wearing a helmet, so it'd be more like, oh yeah, I completely just ruined his ribs, you know, busted his spine pretty bad.
Just like this. I might as well just restart the whole race there. Not restart the whole race, but reload and save. Now what's funny is I remember watching an absolutely ancient newscast when Kawasaki started making, or started importing or exporting motorcycles to the U.S. The newscaster could not pronounce, ran right into a wall, Kawasaki, so he pronounced it Kwagasaki. There's not even a G in the name! Where do you get Kwagasaki from Kawasaki, I ask you?
Oh, the mispronunciations of unknown names from unknown languages is hilarious sometimes.
Oh, God. Yeah. This is much more fun than I remember. But it could have just been that, well, that joystick was old. It's even older still.
Sean, if you find an N64 controller, even with a broken thumbstick, you can repair them pretty cheap. It's... I hate to say this because I kind of rail against YouTubers that say, oh, well, if you go to X, do this, you can get it cheap and, you know, corner the market. I hate that. But, yeah, go ahead, go out, find, you know, reasonably good condition, but still broken N64 joysticks. It's not hard to repair them.
Yeah. Eventually,
you got the Brawler 64. You got the Brawler 64 pad, which came out recently, which was actually pretty good.
And I'm being extra heretical using the Xbox controller.
Yeah, it works. As long as you're having fun, that's what matters.
Shit! Go. Oh, I should also play VW Racing. I played that for like a second back in the day. I rented that, actually. I have no idea if the game was any good, but I do remember renting that, because...
Fatal Adventure Racing is actually really good.
That's another one of those things you would never really see today, or if you did, it would be microtransaction to hell. Like, come on, go.
You could sort of see it today, but not through EA.
Yes!
Not the EA of old was pretty scummy, but even they had good moments. EA now has no good moments.
Yeah, well, Jedi Fallen Order wasn't that bad.
Yeah, but that's being used as a smokescreen to say, look, guys, we're totally not the spawn of Satan. Wait, we are.
Let's see. Yeah, let's go ahead and do Armament Air Combat, and I think I will play 2 more racing games and call it a day.
The thing I miss about the 90s is, when it comes to like racing games, like things like that, it's the air of positivity. Everything now has got to be, it's got to be grimdark, it's got to be real, it's got to be... Dude, we tried this in the 90s with comics. It didn't do good then either. Don't be afraid to be goofy and positive.
Kind of like this.
And yes, I do have a gas mask collection as well.
You know, I always picked the chick because I thought she was hot. But in all reality, the Woodstock character is a little better because he actually gives you sort of a stat bonus when it comes to the machine guns, which is pretty much what you want to use throughout the early game. But, as you would expect, even young me wanted to pick the hot chick because, well, yeah. Now I gotta try to remember the controls. Don't mind me blasting a hole in the fence of our own base. Now, I know there was a sequel to this, but I never played it, because I think it was like the PS2, potentially. Now, you can strafe in this game, which is good. I don't remember if you're supposed to shoot the blue guy. Oh, he's shooting at me, so, well, fuck him. So, already we've got some changes from the mainline ones, because the mainline, like, Army Men games, like, they have Jeeps, now they've got Humvees. So this game got kind of dark. Later in the game, you can find, like, mutated bugs, which is, like, for a silly little, you know, like, Army Men game, that's pretty deep, really. It's like General Plastro is getting up to some illegal medical experiments.
Yeah, like I say, even though I encourage the positivity of old school games, even to the point of being goofy, there were some pretty serious games. I mean, you had this, you had Body Harvest, you had the horrible Armorines game, although good story, horrible game.
I've never even heard of that one.
Essentially, it was their take on Starship Troopers, the Verhoeven film, not the books.
It'd probably be a little difficult to actually take a look at the book, just because that is more of like a philosophical thing than it is, you know, action and would you like to know more and all the rest.
Yeah.
Kill the
I'll always
Frenchie.
love the book, but it's not something you can adapt easily into pop culture entertainment. It's something that forces you to think.
And that is not something Hollywood is capable of doing these days, just saying. Or any day, really.
Yeah, it seems like they've completely lost the script, so to say.
Fall back. There we go. Keep hold. I cannot imagine how hard it was to actually program that little yellow line as the winch. You know, like, for me, it's like, it's a winch. I can tell. But when you look at it now, it's like, it's just a little tiny, it's just a line, and yet I can actually, you know, I can't think of the word. I cannot think of the word. You know, I cannot think of the word. My brain is completely spacing on this. Disbelief.
Psychic.
Disbelief. There we go. I can actually lower my level of
The
disbelief.
suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, there you go. Military collectible store. I never really collected anything quite like that. That tank game was Battle Tanks. Both 1 and 2. CNC Ramasters will be fine. It is EA, so I kind of doubt it.
I hope, but I'm not putting money on that bet because remember, EA is who killed Westwood. EA is who essentially just. I'm going to come out as a geek here. I own the CNC nod. I own Kane's ring.
Wow.
I am a long time dyed in the wool Command and Conquer fan.
Nice. I do have the Amulet of Talos, so there's that. Alright, so let's see. I remember this level being somewhat difficult. Now, like, when you're in the real world, you shoot out, like, the rockets from Toy Story. This looked like... I think Army Men was, like, trying to do a Toy Story thing because that was such a popular franchise at that time. It's still somewhat popular today. I guess I could play Toy Story 2, but I never really liked that game much, to be perfectly honest.
To be fair, the Toy Story games are really best on the Dreamcast. That, and if you're good at it, which is actually very hard, is the Sega Genesis Toy Story game. That's actually surprisingly good. It's surprisingly hard, but yeah.
That is, crap. That's the Sega Genesis for you. I tried to play Duke Nukem on Genesis to do a review on it. That game is impossible.
Yeah, it was... You're better off playing Zero Tolerance instead. Although there is somebody who's making a Wolfenstein 3D conversion to the Genesis.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. I don't really see the point. Now, Zero Tolerance is something I've got to... I actually own that. It's definitely strange, but it's surprising that they were able to get something like that running on something as weak as the Genesis was.
It's not so much weak, it's just completely different hardware. Like Battle Frenzy, that one, I doubt you own that because it was
No.
mostly a UK thing.
I
But
get
it's
it.
actually pretty impressive as first-person shooters on the Genesis go.
I think I know what you're talking about. But
It's also known as Bloodshot.
yeah, I've never actually had that. Now, the only other first-person thing I've played on the Genesis is Death Duel. I played that on the DS a lot, actually.
That was a surprisingly entertaining Kusoge of its era.
I don't really remember if what the controls were like or anything like that. And I think I lost. I think.
You don't move forward at all. You scroll left and right. You
Oh,
have
what?
your cover. You have your enemy, and you have to pick apart said enemy piece by piece. It's a bad game, but it's a fun bad game.
I need to look at that again. I should do like a Genesis thing. EverDrive. I
Yes,
considered
next
getting
door.
one at once.
Cain Lives in Death.
Alright. What did that say? Wolf 3D for N64? I don't really think there's a point to that, but okay.
Actually, it should run it pretty well. I mean, VRAM wise, you're pretty well set. The hard part is coding it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, you can do it, but why? Why would you want to? It's like, it's just...
Same reason people run Doom on their refrigerators.
Yeah, okay, maybe you got a point, but still. It just seems so random for no real gain. Like, maybe if you tried to run, like, say, Return to Castle, which wouldn't work, but...
I don't know. Well, on N64 it wouldn't, but with the smart refrigerators out there, I bet I could probably get it to run. It would take me forever, but I could probably get it up and running.
Which is... Oh, yeah, there's Thomas the Tank Engine. Oh, yeah, I inadvertently saw a meme of that has, like, millions upon millions of views, where he was on one of the trains for, let's just say, the Second World War. It's like...
Thomas the Tank Engine's angrier cousin, Gustav the Railway Gun.
Yeah. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. I love how he doesn't have a face, though.
That would cause licensing. You can only get away with so much.
That's still quite a bit, though. I mean, look at that. That's one of those shows that, I watched it as a kid, but I cannot imagine how I did. I don't remember anything about the plots, but I'm pretty sure it was terrible.
That came out after my time, so I can't really speak on it. Although my nephew used to watch it a little bit, and some of those plot lines got pretty dark.
How do you make a dark plot line for a talking... I don't know, does the train even talk? I don't remember anything about it.
It's sentient and it can communicate, but like one of the plot lines he was watching and I was babysitting him was, oh, well, this one train refused to run, so the fat conductor just walls him up in a disused tunnel.
Okay.
Just straight up cask of Amontillato's him into a tunnel, leaving a slit for said eyes of the train to look out and see the rest of the world that he can no longer interact with.
Okay.
Like I said, it got dark.
Yeah, that's kind of psychotic. I just remember that, like, one of the Beatles, the drummer, whatever the hell his name is, it starts with an R, like Ringo Starr, that's his name, Ringo.
Yeah.
I remember he voiced, like, the narrator, which I think there was a narrator.
Well, George Carlin for a while did some work with it. I know, right?
George Carlin, the train. Oh my god.
I want to ride on that train.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy to think that his comedy routines have actually stood the test of time and are actually even more relevant today than they were back then. It's like, that's just nutty. Oh, crap. Stop shooting at me! Okay, after this level, we will take a look at VW Racing, because that is something that has to be seen to be believed.
It is completely goofy, it is completely 90s, and it is glorious.
Crap, I'm gonna die! And Thomas, you just keep on chugging. I'm assuming he was drafted into the Green Army. Doesn't really want to be there, but he knows that there's no going back now. Thomas, the PTSW engine. I don't even know what I'm trying to say there.
PTSD engine.
Yeah. Blow up the kitty mix. Because fuck cats. Not literally. I have not been jet skiing at all. I've only been on a boat a grand total of once. And it was just a basic motorboat. Despite really liking boats, I've only been like boating once or twice in my entire life. I enjoyed it. I just never really had the opportunity.
And yes, you can put the Ocarina of Time randomizer on an EverDrive and it will work.
No! Ah, fuck it. We will go to VW Bug Racing. Let's see. Where is that? That should be N64 games. Let's start with a V. Wipeout. V Rally.
V-Rally was actually pretty interesting. It's kind of hard.
Virtual chess? Oh, is this going to be where RetroRock doesn't show me where all the games are? Or is there a different name for that?
Try Beetle Adventure Racing.
Okay. Well, that's completely on the other side of the alphabet. Banjo-Kazooie. You know, I know people love Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. I've never played them. Not once. Yeah, there it is. Beetle Adventure Racing. I always wanted a VW Beetle, but yeah, those things are way more expensive than I would like to pay. Okay, I does not like that core. Let's try parallel again, and the answer is it works. And yes, I've had multiple neighbors who would feed the cats. They're annoying. Beetle Racing is trained to Holden Racing. Aussie GM cars.
Because the Beetle was not big there, the Holden was. So they changed it over to essentially make more money.
I see. Well, I don't... Is that basically...
It's still the same game. It's still very good.
Oh, they just kind of swapped the models then.
Yeah.
Volkswagen. EA, boo!
Oh, this is EA before they completely sold their soul.
Oh yeah, my only problem... Oh, go on.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, my only problem with cats is, like, the stray cats love to fight right outside my window and wake me up at, 2 in the morning. And it's really quite annoying.
Oh yeah, stray cat. Domesticated cat, or...
Yeah, that's good with you.
It's perfectly fine.
Mount Mayhem, Country Cove, what's it got? They should all be the same car. Let's go ahead and go for the blue car. Even though the blue car is kind of shitty. The other car has... Yeah, literally, the blue car is the shittiest of them all. The red car is actually pretty good, because it's got better acceleration. It has good top speed.
Well, handling actually matters in this game, because, remember, there's a lot of secret paths, and to get to those, you have to be on your steering.
I think we'll go ahead and go for the red car, though. Because it's got, like, automatic or manual. Automatic. I do not know how to drive stick, nor do I really want to.
It's not that hard, but go ahead and stick with automatic for right now, because it's just a chill stream.
Alright, let's see what we can do here. Assuming I know what the controls are. Because I have not played this in probably longer than some of you have been alive.
And Corey, to make a rotating barrel belt fit 12 gauge. Nobody's made a rotating barrel example, although, like I say, Weapon Maker's Forum, we were working on a belt-fed 12-gauge.
Oh, crap. This is definitely much more realistic than what I'm used to. So I'm going to lose bad, like I did back in the day.
More realistic than you're used to. Wait till you start seeing, like, the shortcuts and the wild stuff. Then the realism goes out the window. But it's still a ton of fun.
Let's see, how do I... Can you drift in this game? I don't...
Sort of. Really, it's more of a grip racing game than it is a drift game.
Yeah, because I'm completely at the bottom of the pack. I'm just flying around everywhere. I'm now driving backwards. I'm like totaling the car.
But you found a shortcut.
That's something, I guess. Nope. I'm going to suck at this, because I sucked at it back the one time I rented it. And I think I gave up on it, like, after, like, an hour.
Oh yeah, it takes practice to get good at field adventure racing. It's the learning curve is actually a lot steeper than one would think, but once it clicks, it's just a lot of fun.
I was able to pass one guy. Yeah, fuck you, Purple. I love how they completely degrade the 3D models the further they go away.
Yeah, it's render culling, LOD.
Yeah, actually passing someone. Maybe I'm not sucking as bad as I could. Go ahead and actually do a save state there. Yeah, I'm used to, like, drifting and shit like that.
And Wipeout 64 actually took practically an act of Congress to make, because, remember, Sony bought out Psygnosis right at, the tail end of '94. So that was a Sony property even back then.
I don't think I've ever played Wipeout 64. I'm aware of it, but I don't think I've ever played it. Rush 2. Oh, crap. I blame the chat for that. Chatting and driving.
It's not a good combo. That's why you don't text and drive kids.
Hey, sometimes you have to text. It's not that big of a danger.
Pull over and park.
Yeah, but, like, I'm in a hurry. I don't have to get stuck in traffic, even worse. It's like, Friday traffic today wasn't that bad, but there was some... I won't call him an idiot. I'll be nice. Oh, God. I guess I deserve that one. The whole car just completely evaporated. No, there was some person hauling an entire house down the street. It's like, I just want to go home already. Why did they choose today and in my lane to haul half of a house down the street at like 5 miles an hour? And like, they drove the exact route that I had to drive to get back home. The exact fucking route. Look, I pass him.
Tech Wolf is going to end up producing 545 by 39. Hornady is looking back into it. The market is supposedly going to correct. As for the Rush series, I hate to say this, I'm going to sound kind of on it, but my favorite San Francisco Rush is Rush 2049, The Rock, Arcade, and Dreamcast.
You know, I know the name, but I don't think I've ever played that either. Okay, I'm actually not doing too bad at this game. I think I kind of got it. Kind of. And to any UK fans out there, do you still have the red telephone booths? Or is that something that existed for like 5 minutes? Oh, god damn it.
Well, it's been a while, but I remember the red and blue telephone booths, but this was literally as the iPhone 2 was gaining popularity and they were on the wane.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that the iPhone has put pay to the payphone. Well, looks like Doctor Who doesn't get to hide as one of those anymore. Or hide in one of those, I should say. There's a shortcut. I think. Yep. Aha! I don't really know what the number 2 boxes actually do. I have heard that, like, VW Beetles are actually, like, really crap in terms of reliability, though.
The original ones, yes. It's the whole thing of the joke of Hitler's revenge. Essentially, the fuel lines on the original VW Beetles will always rot away. This is why you must replace them with stainless steel ones.
Well, like the modern ones, any good?
The modern ones are fine. They never had that problem.
This game also has pretty good music. It's very nice and peaceful. Oh, dinosaur. Yeah, we do need a good Turok. There actually is a Turok game that came out somewhat recently, but it's like one of those shitty, like, mobile games.
The only Turok thing we've gotten in the past, 6 years, I'll go so far as 8, has been an animated movie, which is actually pretty good, but that's really it. I mean, whoever, it's not Hearst who bought them out, but whoever bought Valiant really is doing nothing with the Turok license, which is a bloody shame.
Yeah, because there's actually a franchise that, with the proper developer, you can do a lot of things with.
Heck, hand it to Retro Studios after they're done with the new Metroid.
Now that would be good. Crap! This poor car. The resale value is not going to be particularly high, that's for sure. Oh, you asshole! You asshole! I was going to take that shortcut. And slamming into a wall at 103, either A, miles, or B, kilometers. Yeah, you're probably not going to drive away from that. Just saying.
Crumple zones or no, that's usually pretty much an end.
Or smashing into a big inn. I don't even know what that's supposed to do, but...
Nitro.
Oh, yeah! Oh, Nitro and crap like that. The Fast and the Furious... Those movies are still going on! However many years in the future? Why? I have no idea.
Because money.
It's like... The street racing, man. That made Vin Diesel so much money he can probably buy a castle.
Well, at one time he used that money to buy and operate a video game company, but that's kind of gone.
Really?
Yeah, the Riddick game was essentially his case of, well, I own a game studio now. It's a pretty cool game.
I own a game studio now, I'm making a game about me!
Oh no, the only reason he chose the Riddick license is because, wait a second, I still own part of the IP. It's cheap. Cool, let's do it.
I still need to play those. I mean, they're supposed to be halfway decent, but...
They're pretty good. You can go on GOG and get the PC version. It runs pretty well.
I just never really rated Riddick that high. That was actually a pretty tough race. Not gonna lie. Let's see. Oh, let's just go ahead and be British for our British fans, since they were able to actually be their own country again. Bum!
The bum has been entered.
I have not seen... Oh yeah, hello, Licorice. I've not actually seen Picard yet.
I have. I'm not pleased.
Actually, hold on. Let's go ahead and save, because I might come back. Yeah, I mean, I just don't really have much desire to watch that at the moment. I was even pretty disappointed by Mandalorian, because most of it was filler. Now, I do know some of the details were supposed to... of Picard, some of the more stupid things that evidently happened were like, Data has like a biological daughter. I'm not really sure.
The thing is, Data already had progeny. Problem is this completely ignores that fact and says, that's not Data's kid, this is Data's kid. Oh, and Data was one of a kind, never mind, lore.
Oh yeah, Super Mario 64. Do you think I'll get flagged for that?
Don't know. It's Nintendo. I don't know.
Because I kind of want to do that. I also kind of want to play a little bit of Star Fox 64 as well. Shadow
and
64.
The GOG version of Riddick is not really a remake. It is a slight retooling of the code to get it to run, and it has the Escape from Dark Athena.
Oh yeah, Rampage. I remember this. I actually have the cartridge for the NES version. Starfleet, a bunch of racist xenophobes.
And Eddie's telling you Wipeout 64.
Wipeout 60. I guess I could look at that after Rampage. Oh, I remember this. This was actually pretty good. I would always pick Lizzie because Godzilla. Gojira! Gojira.
Gojira. And Corey, EA did kill Dead Space, but it's better that it died on the third game than it did continue and just keep getting worse and worse.
And yeah, I can agree with that. But not that Dead Space was as amazing as you might think otherwise, though.
No, it was not amazing, but it was a good, solid game.
The biggest problem it had was the story was just really stupid. Because it's like, okay, come on, people. You're going to tell me they ran out of space oil, and so they need to use, like, the giant, fuck off marker as a power source. It's just so stupid. It's like there were a lot of problems with it that even I, as a fan of the series, noticed like really quite quickly. I mean, it didn't have to be that stupid, but well, it's EA.
It's EA channeling Verhoeven, so yeah, there was going to be some stupid.
Oh yeah, the little bouncy. Cause Steel totally does that. It's not
I never heard of Spring Steel.
Well, they wouldn't make.
Awful joke.
They wouldn't make a building out of that, but whatever. Yeah, this game's still pretty good. Graphically, it still looks pretty decent. I mean, the 3D model for Lizzie isn't too bad. Peoria. Peoria. Wait, is that a real place? I thought it was just a Family Guy joke.
No, Peoria is actually a real place. I've never really stayed there, but I've passed through there.
Eat the old lady! Ah, well, she's fueling an engine for destruction. The movie was actually halfway decent. I thought it was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I like schlocky kind of entertainment, and it's pure schlocky entertainment, like you would expect. They made the character designs really different, but I don't really have a problem with that. I mean, at this point, it would not make sense for them to... If they made the Lizzie character look like this, I think there would be I think Toho would probably complain. Because this looked a lot like Godzilla.
It kind of does, but remember, this is Game Refuge, and I'm going to go on record. I really freaking miss Game Refuge. Nobody really younger than me is really going to fully get what they produced, what they put out. Because Rampage is their big hit, but I miss games like Pigskin 621 AD, Blaster, Rampage, General Chaos. I mean, they produced a lot of just fun games.
Let's see. Work week was tiring, but survived it. And Pure Illinois. Well, I thought that was a Family Guy joke. Wait, did I die? I blame the chat. Always blame the chat. But yeah, I thought like Peoria was like a Family Guy joke. Cause like, wasn't there like an episode where like the Peter Griffin character like became his own country or something? It was one of the early ones before the show got really political. I love how I say really political, and then I like find a flag of like the UK. Well, we find a lot of UK stuff here. It's like we planned it that way.
I know. It's like this is the Brexit edition.
Celebrating it by playing a bunch of N64 games. Okay, I'm gonna wreck this city and then move on to... See, like, the big problem with like modern gaming is they don't have the sheer number of different style of games. Like, you don't really see stuff like this.
Well, yeah, like I said, this is Game Refuge really at their peak of just being, we want to make games we want to make, and Midway thankfully allowed us to publish it. I mean, this is not terribly different than the original Rampage in the 1980s, except for the fact that you actually have a rough storyline to follow and boss battles.
We don't fall. I think the Lizzie character here is probably about the same size as the original Gojira. I think he was only like 50 feet tall and dead. Yeah, fuck it. We'll go to Wipeout.
One Game Refuge series I wish they could bring back for modern days is Xenophobe. A modern day Xenophobe with internet play, yes please.
That's one of those things where I know the name, but never actually played. Wipeout 64. Let's see if it actually works, though. Just judging by the cover, this looks like this uses some sort of technology. Escape from Tarkov. Never even heard of it.
Tarkov is interesting. Their meta is all sorts of messed up.
GameCube Rampage. Never even heard of that on the GameCube. But then again, when the GameCube came out, I didn't really care because I'd moved on to the Xbox. Midway Games. What's kind of funny about Midway, though, is when I was in high school, we had to do like some sort of mock stock trading kind of thing, and I picked Midway, and I just saw it was at the absolute worst time. I just saw it completely tank and then die.
Sadly, what killed Midway really was the death of the arcades, the death of pinball for a while there, and then the console market shift just really just put the screws to them.
Because I thought they were doing okay for a little while. This looks like this is sort of like an F-Zero sort of thing.
Originally inspired by F-Zero, but with weapons, and
Okay,
really the thing about Wipeout is it was very much British club culture.
Oh?
But dude, the entire soundtrack is pretty much what you'd hear in British clubs and raves. It was very, very British. I mean, it's not the breakbeat D&B and just general techno in general. It was not too far removed from my time in Wales when me and the ex were still together and we would go out clubbing. You go out, have a few pints, get to the club, have fun. You're blasted, you're sore, you're tired. You go home, you get some doner kebab, and you throw on, a fast, fun game.
Yeah, I can see that's completely lost on me. It's like, go out? There's an out? I did not know such a thing existed. You lost me at go out. So yeah, like the soundtrack's pretty good from what I can hear. Midway died in another Japanese 2010s. They died roast. I guess they're NetherRealm now.
That's not the same. That's not fully Midway. That's really Boone and Tobias's thing. Now, I'm not going to knock Ed Boone too hard because he did provide quite a lot of games I do enjoy, but he wasn't Midway. He was a part of Midway.
But he's the one that always gets brought up, though.
Oh, yeah. But everybody forgets people like Python Angelou and the rest of the crew there, which were just as important.
Bad luck. 6th place. This could be okay. This game looks like it'd be good, but I would actually need to pay more attention to it.
Oh yeah, you have to learn the tracks and Wipeout.
Let's see. So
although there is a spiritual successor for free on Steam now called Ballistic NG.
I have to play the original first and then see. Oh, there's Quest 64. I didn't even know that was a thing until many, many years later, and still have not played it. Pokemon Stadium. I don't really want to play this, but that was like the shit for a while. I actually had that game along. I don't think I don't have it anymore, but I had it along with the transfer pack, and I don't remember if I liked it or not, but I must not have liked it much because I don't have it anymore. So yeah. A lot of NFL games. So many sports games.
Well, Tech in the 90s, late 90s, early aughts, Dallas, Texas had Deep Ellum as industrial clubs. And when I did my short time in the UK with the X, there were genuine techno clubs and raves to be found.
F-Zero. I know it's Nintendo, but they might not care. MK11, never played. Never played it.
I don't like it, but I'm the last person you want to ask on Mortal Kombat because I absolutely loathe Mortal Kombat. I can't stand it.
How could you? It's so amazing. No, I wouldn't say amazing, but it's good.
I am a Street Fighter, Darkstalkers, Virtua Fighter fan. I do not like the dial-up combos. I don't like... It's too loose for my tastes. It's a fine game if that's what you like, but I can't stand it.
So I still love that game, even to this day. But see, this is my racing game. This is what I like when it comes to racing. Like the controls, the tracks. I mean, F-Zero, I've been a fan of this literally since the 90s. and I did have, now I still do have, on my GBA, F-Zero Climax, the last game, the climax, if you will, of all the great gooey F-Zero-ness. It was Japanese only, of course, because of course it was. And it was a great send-off to the series, which is precisely why they never actually, brought it over to the U.S. Because why would they do such a thing?
Well, F-Zero, here's the thing. Miyamoto doesn't want to chase it anymore because he wants to do something unique and different. It's like, he doesn't know how he can, innovate on F-Zero. And my solution is what they did for GX and AX. Hand it to Sega. Just hand it to Sega, please. They know how to do it.
Because it would sell and people would want to play it.
I'd buy it.
Yeah.
I would go out and buy a Switch for it.
See, I don't know if I go that far. I'd emulate. Play it legally.
I was a big GX and AX fan. I almost considered, back when things were fiscally far, far better, actually buying an F-Zero AX arcade cabinet.
That'd be pretty epic. Because, those things are somewhat rare now. Save. See, like that?
Sega is not in control of AVP.
Zero.
Sega only rents the license from Fox.
Japanese fighter. Well, just for that. Oh, yeah. Okay, you know what we'll do? This is not even an N64 game, but we'll play your favorite game, Rain. Just for not liking Mortal Kombat, we'll play your favorite game. Where is it? Mortal Kombat Gold.
Oh.
Just
this
for
is
that.
The one purchase I regret on $9.99. Well, let me take that back. It's the second biggest regret.
Alright, so Midway. It's like you just didn't last long enough. Okay, come on, skip. Let's go.
Yes, I will agree Midway should have lasted a lot longer.
Get back your
Midway, they produced a lot of great games and a lot of great pinball tables. They were killing it in pinball for almost 15 years.
And yeah, Dreamcast is pretty lovely. I mean, what's wrong?
Trust me. I'm a big Dreamcast fan, probably one of the largest, because when I had 1 year to save up, and I saved up and I bought the entire launch library.
How can you not love this game? It's great. I can actually
I don't like the stiff play.
I mean, yeah, the 3D models could be better, but,
I'm not knocking the 3D models. I mean, it was what it was at the time. You're talking about Midway was coming off of some pretty rough arcade hardware in terms of 3D. 3D was not their specialty. I mean, this is infinitely better than War Gods, but I am not a fan of how Mortal Kombat has ever played.
See, here's the thing. I can actually play this game and not suck terribly at it. That's the thing. That's why I like it. I was actually able to defeat somebody for once. That doesn't happen a lot. So I'm not complaining. Combat just a week ago at a bar. Not bad. DC with Code Veronica. Yeah, I would say Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is one of the best fighting games of all time. I'd agree with that.
Very good. Enjoyable, yes. One of the most enjoyable I will give you. One of the best.
Did that crash?
No. In terms of best I consider like Virtua Fighter 5, Virtua Fighter 3 and 5, Vampire Savior, Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter Alpha 3. Let's see what else.
So I could agree with that, but for me, oh yeah, that Armorines thing you mentioned.
It's not good, I'll warn you right now.
Well, now I gotta see. Let's take a look, ladies and gentlemen. I've never even heard of it, never played it, let's try it. What's the worst that could happen? Soul Calibur. Sword of the Berserker.
Soul Calibur is awesome. Although I will say this. I kind of don't like what they did with after 3 because it became Rushdown, the game, which is fine. It plays fine, but I like Soul Calibur 1 and 2 because you could do Rushdown if you want, or you could be the bastard if you want and get really good about reading people and countering everything they come out with just to smack them. I like that. I can go Rushdown if I want, or I can just be a total ass and counter everything you've got if I know you.
Alright, let's see if Armorines is bad. I'm playing as the hot chick, so it's already got a point in its favor for that. That is such a ripoff of a Valkyrie from 40K, I'm surprised it didn't get sued.
Actually, the funny thing is, the Valkyrie model for 40K wouldn't be released for another,
oh god, the controls.
about 8 years.
Oh god.
So, it actually isn't a ripoff of a Valkyrie. The Valkyrie wouldn't be released for another 8 years.
I did not know that. And, okay, I gotta... It has controls, but I really need to, like, make them not suck. This doesn't really look that bad, though, if I could actually control it.
And that's really the hard part, is if you can actually control it.
I mean, this really doesn't look bad. I mean, the graphics aren't that amazing, but, I mean...
Well, it's based off the Turok engine in terms of graphics, but the controls are just so awful.
Yeah, but, like... You can, of course, remap them with modern-day emulators. I mean...
Even with remapping, it doesn't get any better. I've tried.
Yeah, these controls are... From the 5 seconds that I've played... Oh, you have to reload? I don't even know what the reload control is. Oh, man, this is... Okay, this is not aged well. Oh, and it's...
Oh, it wasn't good back then.
It's inverted. Is there a way to turn that off? I bet there isn't. Please tell me there's a way to change the... Auto aim, look spring. Oh, God, look spring. That does not take me back. Okay, fuck it.
No, Elite, this was never intended to be even remotely to be close to a Metroid game. It's just... It is not good.
Let's put it this way. I thought it was going to be a lot worse.
Oh, it gets worse. You're just seeing the first couple of seconds in.
Oh, God. It's so hard to aim. I mean... Oh, this is... It's like... I don't even know which stick to use. I'm not like doing... I'm not even exaggerating.
Yeah, it's that bad, guys. This is pure. This is not a put on. This is not an act. This is not a charade. This is...
Okay, that's enough of that.
It is rough.
I think I'll pass on that. Okay. Oh, there's the 180 snowboarding, which I never played but saw all the time back in the day. Lamborghini.
1080 was fun.
Battle Zone, Big Mountain 2000. Oh, Biofreaks or Biofreaks.
Biofreaks is such a weird game.
40K. I have not played Space Hulk Deathwing.
I need to pick it up because it's Strumon Studio. And while I know it'll not be the game I want, take care, Walrus. If it's not, even though it's not, it'll never be the game I want. I really do want Strumon to make another, game equivalent to Divine Cybermancy and have it be, let's make it official this time and have you be an Inquisitor.
That'd be pretty nice. Yes, please turn all the hints. I need all the hints. I remember this from back when I was a kid. I never owned it, but this was the weirdest thing. Like, the plot for this is, like, there's no war, but the Biofreaks fight to, like, do something, and then there's an orc. That's so an orc.
Essentially, corporate America has taken over, the government has fallen, and now the Biofreaks are being used as, instead of fighting a massive war, they're, fighting for territorial control via just simple fights.
Unfortunately, I do not know how to attack. None of the buttons attack. Why not?
There's your shield.
Okay, if I just tap A, Hold back to block. I'm holding.
Inquisitor Martyr is interesting. I can't really speak on it because I haven't tried. So, yeah.
Okay, the controls. There's either a really big delay, or I don't know why. Because like I'm not. I can shoot him, but I can't like hit him.
And you're not too wrong. He actually is about as close to a Strogue or a Necros Fader as you can get. Although the name is a horrible, horrible choice, and you could never do that these days.
Oh.
Look at his name.
Already escaped the game because I could not play it at all.
Okay, I don't want to get you flagged, and I don't know if this will get you flagged. But for anybody who didn't notice, his name, the character he chose, was Zipperhead.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Not a good choice at all.
You know, that reminds me of something. I actually unsubscribed from this D&D channel when they were complaining about the Gypsy faction, like saying that is culturally insensitive. It's like, well, you know...
Okay, well, the Gypsy faction in D&D was never a race. It was essentially a group of people, elves, humans, dwarves, and the outcasts of society. They were never a race in D&D.
So, yeah, I hate it when people get to be SJW about that. Okay, so you play as a mutated bee. This is before the Bee movie with Jerry Seinfeld. I rented this once or twice back in the day. An insect super race affected by the pollution is now planning to take over the garden and beyond.
Well, it seems Alex Jones was almost somewhat wrong.
It's not the frogs, it's the bees! Not the bees!
Oh god, they're in my eyes!
Okay, let's see if I remember how to... So yeah, you play as a bee. You play as a bee. And you fly around and, like, shoot things. I only played this, like, once or twice back in the day. Come on, get up there!
And the most infectious earworm of a title screen song ever.
I heard it, like, a little bit, and it sounded like that was some kind of a rap. And I immediately just... We might not actually do much of this, because I don't remember where you're supposed to go or what you're supposed to do. I wasn't really paying attention. The controls in this aren't that great. And, like, one of the big problems with the N64 was the controls. Like, there was no really fixing them, I think.
Well, it wasn't a matter of fixing them or they're broken. It's a matter of nobody knew really what to do with analog controls. Analog controls weren't new, but analog controls for a console were not commonplace.
I just smacked into the wall, so am I supposed to collect these things, or what? It's like the mutant bee with a laser cannon, but I'm not finding anything to fight yet. Or at all. The Jerry Seinfeld Bee movie. Now that's something that was a product of its time. I like it, though. I gotta say, I quite enjoyed Bee movie when it came out.
It's a source of infinite memes nowadays.
Do you like jazz? I'm supposed to do something here? Oh, it's a portal. I probably should have known that. It's just such a weird thing, though. There we go. We can shoot some, whatever the hell those things are. Dragonflies. Well, they're not attacking, but I'm gonna assume they're bad. So I'm gonna kill them anyway. Because why not? Anything in a game, just to automatically assume enemy. This is definitely not aged that well. But honestly, I'm tempted to play this and maybe review it just because it's such an obscure thing. So that is Buck Bumble, the Bumblebee shooter game, because 90s. Okay, let's do one more game, and let's just do the game. Even if it gets flagged, I can cut it out or something. Put like a black screen up. Let's do...
In tech, I don't think there ever was an explanation for, how Mortal Kombat characters can survive getting their ribs just completely caved in and still continue to fight on.
I think it's one of those things where you repeat yourself. It's just a game. You should probably just relax. Like, how do you survive getting frozen or getting your spine ripped out? What the hell is that? That starts with an S, doesn't it? I should know my alphabets by now. Okay. What does Shindo edition imply, I wonder? I assume that's some sort of...
Shindo Edition was basically the adoption of the Rumble Pack.
Oh, okay. I assume that means Rumble.
Pretty much.
C6C. Oh, CNC. I already did Duke Nukem 0. I did a whole view on it.
Is so-so.
And let's see. I have not played Spec Ops on PS1. And Strug. I guess I could play CNC. I don't think that would work really well for the N64 controller, but I guess I can play it before I get off for the evening. Yeah, you gotta bake me a cake. Thanks. I'd like to bake her. Can we? No, can't say that on the internet. That'd be a sexist.
No, because guys are in the kitchen all the time.
Well, that's true.
I mean, I made the cake recently. Orange cake.
I tried and failed to make a pizza. Why did it fail? Because I could not get the flour to work right, and I eventually just said fuck it, and just ended up eating tacos for the umpteenth time.
There's a pizza recipe I need to toss you that's on YouTube. It's actually pretty good.
Well,
It's actually pretty easy to follow. It's only 2 ingredients for the dough.
this was like water, you know, like your basic powder stuff. Just could not get the proportion of flour and water right. I have no idea why.
Well, some of the pre-made packs are really just not good. The worst I've ever come by with was last Christmas. I ended up getting I was out at like 3 a.m. with a friend. You know, we're just brainstorming. So we're hitting up Walgreens and Walmarts, things like that. Before we stop out to RJ's to grab breakfast, and I ended up picking up from a Walgreens. They jokingly had Ninja Bread Man cookie cutters. I was like, oh, okay, cool, I'll pick those up. The supply gingerbread, packs and recipe was so off that you couldn't make anything with it. You would make a mess. That's it. So I decided, you know what? Screw this. I want gingerbread cookies. So I dug through my storage, grabbed my old cookbooks. We went back to Walgreens to get all we needed, and I made gingerbread cookies that year.
Nice. Well, it was Walmart pizza dough, so there's that. But usually it turns out pretty good, so yeah, I don't know.
That's what I say. I need to toss you the 2-ingredient pizza dough recipe because it's actually really, really good, and there's so much you can do with it because it tastes almost like roughly like a mild sourdough, so it works really well with fresh vegetables or whatever you want on said pizza. I find I really like spinach and cream sauce pizza with it. It's absolutely just awesome.
That sounds like something that Pinhead would torture someone with. I mean, it sounds great. I would love to eat that for every meal.
Well, no, traditional pizza it works really well with, but I'm a weirdo. I mean, I like traditional Italian focaccia as much as I like American pizza. I also like anchovies on my pizza, but that's a very Southern thing and a very Italian thing. Either you love it or you absolutely hate it.
Zoidberg would approve. Yeah, I'm kind of generic in my taste, and that's no, just cheese and a little bit of meat. That's it.
Well, that's fine. That's the norm. That's the American pizza norm.
N64 with an expansion pack support. I don't think it could handle that.
You could approximate the gameplay of Halo, but you could not approximate the map size, nor the polygon count.
Halo on the Turok engine. Now that would be an interesting thing.
Turok 1 or 2 engine and expansion pack or no, because if you're going expansion pack with high-res mode, you can kiss your frame rate goodbye. If you're going Turok 2 engine sans expansion pack and you're really careful about your culling, you could get it at 30 frames per second.
That actually probably be for the best. However, if you eliminated some of the pseudo-open world aspects of Halo, which I think might be worth it, you might just go do a Turok 3 kind of thing. Because the frame rate in that
that's
is
what
not
I'm
too
saying.
bad.
That's what I'm saying. The Turok 2 engine without Sans expansion pack, because that way you still have some open world. It's just you, by the nature of it, you're going to have a lot more cover and a lot more blind angles. So you're going to have to be more careful.
Which I think was pretty much what makes Halo kind of good anyway. Halo has some really good combat that I think people don't really take into account when talking about it.
Yeah, it's because they took the encounters and they said, okay, well, here's what the enemy spawn rate is going to be. Here's where the rough location is going to be. But they'll switch it up. It's not, you're not locked into the same combat every time.
Yeah, and like the AI is surprisingly good. I mean, fighting those elites is actually legitimately difficult. And you can buy the rights to knock off property, for example, Star Wars rip-off, and then reboost them into the Star Wars sequel. Probably not.
No. Right now, Disney has control of that, and they're locking it down. The only good news I can say is Bob Iger might actually be looking at bringing back Lucas because of how badly Kathleen Kennedy really screwed things up.
Well, I don't know if he'll do much better. I mean, without a proper creative team, it's just he's not gonna. He needs somebody to tell him no, and
yeah, it's. I don't. There's the future of Star Wars is so in the air right now that nobody can predict what's going to happen.
Oh yeah, the first-person passenger view in the Warthog. I remember that. And today is going well, Caleb Hicks. Oh, CNC on the N64. I don't know if this is going to go too well or not. I've never played this on.
It's not bad, but compared to the original CNC, it's kind of limited.
Let's see. Yeah, we'll be the good guys. Well, the better guys. Let's say.
The more face guys, because they're not good guys.
General Sheepa Ard. Shepard, there we go. Yeah, back up, whatever. Just get into the game. Move cursor, deactivate the MCV. Damn it, go away, Holo Updater. Oh, these graphics. They're...
Also, for the Turok PC port, right now the Kex engine's being used, so it's not a true source port. It's a very, very close approximation. I don't know if it will ever be released. I hope it is.
Come on, kill him! Yeah, I've not played a CNC game in so long, it's not even funny.
It's not as hard a transition as, like, say, Dune Battle for Arrakis is on the Genesis, but it's not exactly a great port.
I mean, I'm kind of impressed, though. I mean, there's more going on here than I thought there would be.
Oh yeah, there's a lot more to it than just, oh, let's just slap it on N64. And truth be told, the port is more impressive than the PlayStation and Sega Saturn ports, but it's... I'm going to be a purist here. CNC was always meant for a mouse.
I can agree with that, but at the same time, this is not horrible. I mean...
No, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's not optimal. You can still be good and not optimal.
Let's see, so we got the barracks. I need to actually get some resources at some point. Let's see, how do you select all the units in this?
I gotta remember which button it is to drag, because you...
Okay, that's not it. Oh, there we go. I got it. You hold A. Minions! Men, this is our time. Well, I've got our massed infantry. I'm not actually going to play this, like, seriously. I just feel like we're just going to go around and shoot things for a little while. And then move on to Shadows of the Empire to call it a day. I mean, this is playable, though. It's more playable than I expected.
The only downside is there was no real multiplayer to...
I think that would have been...
Because you couldn't support it.
Yeah, it would have been a bridge too far. Okay, this works. That's the best. That's the best you get. It works. Okay, let's do Shadows of the Empire, and then I'm going to head off. Let's see. S. Now, a lot of these Star Wars games do work now thanks to this new update for RetroArch. I guess I could do Shadows of the Empire real quick and then go into Battle for Naboo, because that finally works now. And finding a PC version of that is almost impossible. Like, it exists, and it does work with Windows. But, yeah, it's just... The N64 version is a lot easier to get working. And since it's Brexit, we'll do another bum. I did just recently finish the Dash Rendar novel, Shadow Games. Not very good. I hate to say it. It is really generic and just kind of lacks in any sort of quality, in my opinion. I do intend to review it at some point, just to kind of complain about it. Alright, so everyone always talks about the Battle of Hoth, and it is impressive, but it's really not that great, though. I did not find it that amazing back in the day. I mean, it graphically is impressive and all, but
given the fact that, you know, the PC port wouldn't come till later, this was pretty mind-blowing.
Well, yeah, but for me, I like the third stuff because I actually like just Dash Rendar in general. Sort of like a Han Solo Jr., don't crash. Please God, don't crash.
And what's funny is, this entire thing was basically just a litmus test to see if people wanted more Star Wars.
Really? Why am I not surprised? People like Star Wars if it actually is done right. I mean, it makes you wonder, though, if they made Shadows of the Empire the movie and actually followed, like, the book and this game, how successful would that have been?
Back then, very.
Well, even today. Like, let's say there is no Episode 7. Let's say JJ does Shadows of the Empire. How does that compare?
Does it? You're hosed. If, you know, Lucas still retained and did this instead of selling it, yeah, it would probably done all right.
I still think Star Wars could rival Marvel if it had actually had...
Here's the thing. We've seen Star Wars not only rival Marvel, but best Marvel. Disney has screwed that pooch so hard that it will never heal.
Well, Episode 9 was okay. It just was not very good. I mean, I defended it, but yeah, compared to anything else, just no. And see you, Ross, dude. Didn't know. And yeah, it's on the N64. Yeah. Okay, since we've already all seen this game, I want to finish it up with Battle for Naboo. Because this game does not get the love it deserves. And it is damn good. Imagine Rogue Squadron, but better. And for the longest time... Oh yeah, it's going to take forever to load, I think. I hope. Oh, it doesn't work with parallel N64. I forgot. There we go. Mupin 64 next. CNC freeware and yes, Halo did have a great OST. Although, I wonder if 343 has ruined that too.
Not really. They actually, thankfully, kept the soundtrack pretty true to its original roots.
Yeah, that's good at least. You can definitely see where Factor 5 came down on the side of, almost said George R. Abrams. Ooh, here's a question. Which is more annoying? Kylo Ren or Jar Jar?
I'm gonna have to say Kylo Ren because the actor who plays Kylo Ren is actually a pretty cool actor. I'm gonna be honest. He's getting the actors in the god's awful Disney Star Wars movies, I don't have a problem with. They can act, but they're being handed at best table scraps. That's what annoys me more than anything else. It's like you have people with talent, but you're essentially casting them all wrong, and you're giving them lines and scenes to play out which make no sense.
And I agree with that. You can kind of see that in Episode 9, because when you have, Kylo and Han together on that bridge, or no, on that piece of the Death Star, I mean, that's actually some pretty good acting. I mean, that was really good. It's just, yeah.
Well, Kylo Ren, as villains go, he has no menace to it. He's, as I said before in the review, he's not the type of person you see, oh, he's going to be a Sith Lord. No, he looks like the person that, you'd find at a fish and chip shops, politely asking for a little bit extra malt vinegar. He's a relatable person as in terms of facial structure and mannerism. He's not somebody who can play a villain well.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And sadly, this isn't working for some reason. It worked just the other day, I swear. Oh, maybe because I was
Adam Driver just doesn't look like a villain. I would love to see him in, let's go crazy. Let's go remake Fletch from the 1980s. Have him in it because he's got the acting chops for that. I know that he could deliver something on that level.
I definitely could see that. Or if they just, had Kylo not try to, had they not tried to make him look menacing, I think he might have actually done pretty well. If they could have just had him be like partially good, partially bad, something like that.
Yeah, they could have gone, the morally torn Grey Jedi route, and that would have worked. But that's not what we got.
Oh, and if you like Captain Panaka, guess what they made him now in Disney canon?
If it's anything, go ahead.
An Imperial sympathizer. So yeah,
that works. Yeah, that's completely in character.
Yeah, and he eventually becomes a Moff too. So, thanks Disney. Thanks.
Okay. It's not like they haven't completely destroyed everything else that's canon.
I forgot how to speed up. That's missiles. Oh, that's how you speed up.
I have a weapons malfunction.
Alright, I'm trying to save you, Captain Panaka. Excuse me. I always loved the Flash speeder, though. I mean, the vehicle... Say what you will about Episode 1, and there's a lot I could say about it. Okay, I think I saved it. The vehicle design was not bad. I mean, this is a nice-looking little vehicle. I actually have not an action figure, but I actually have a toy of this. Don't crash into him. Okay, so what's the objective?
On shot first, because you don't take any risks. You don't do any weird, funky neck movements.
Oh my God. What's funny is, even when I watched the re-releases, I didn't even really notice that. I always thought that he shot first. Because it's a blink and you miss it kind of thing. Ah, there's the other destroyer droid. The droid decas! Okay, I'm only going to do one level of this because I'm already tired. I've been going for like, what? 2.5 hours? Holy shit, I haven't done that in a long time. No, Red. You know, Panaka, maybe if you could help a little bit, a tiny bit, maybe. Something. Maybe if you didn't charge right at the enemy and then stop and then not fire. Yeah, the AI for everyone else is pretty bad, but that's to be expected from, well, 1999. Now, I got this game pretty cheap back in the day. Hollywood Video was actually liquidating its stock of N64 games, so I was able to get this new in-box for like $20, which was pretty cheap for this time at least.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good price on that.
I remember paying a lot more for The World Is Not Enough. I still have that cart with the price, and I think it's something like $34.99 for a loose cartridge of that.
Somehow I ended up with a copy of that, and I never bought it.
That's weird.
I don't know how I got it. I never knew anybody who had it, and I never bought it. But somehow it's on my shelf.
It's pretty good if you haven't played it.
I've played it. It's just it's one of those things like, where in the hell did I get this?
Yeah. Now, one thing about getting that game that's kind of funny though, looking at it from today, I got that when I was like 13, I think. And what's really funny is my mother jokingly said, he wants to get Sonic the Hedgehog. And I was like, no, Sonic the Hedgehog is for, like, kids. And I'm like, well, and now, like, you know, at age 31, I was like, yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog is fucking awesome.
Well, the older Sonic games are. Sonic Adventure's where things start to get to stretch it a bit. And if you enjoy good cheesiness, then yeah, go ahead and pick up the Sonic Adventure games. But after that, for a long time, the Sonic games, post Sonic Adventure 2, are just not that good.
No, but
thankfully that's changed.
In like the late 90s, I was thinking more like Sonic 1 and 2. I was like, those are kid games.
Oh yeah, that mentality was pretty darn common because you had a changing demographic and different advertising towards that changing demographic. In the early 90s, Sonic was, oh, he's edgy, he's got Toad, and it's like, that's not Toad, this is Toad. Like, okay.
Yeah, it was kind of silly.
Hurry up! They're attacking the farmhouse.
Verify direct control. Or to.
Drop your weapons. You're under arrest.
See, that little post right there from TechStorm. That would have made for a better movie than what we got.
Yeah. There's a lot of different ways they could have taken it. Personally, I would have taken it from a different perspective. It's like, okay, well, you know, there is no First Order, but now, you know, the rebellion is now the Empire. But the problem is, you now have a new rebellion, some Imperial sympathizers, and it would have been a guerrilla war instead of, you know, an overt war.
Yeah, that could have potentially worked, but yeah. All they had to do was just do the Thrawn trilogy. That's it. That's all you have to do.
I will thoroughly agree. Had they gone with the Thrawn trilogy, the work's already in the bag. All you have to do is just compose and shoot the scenes. All the hard work is done.
I mean, even the advertising campaign is way easier. Just like, who is the heir to the Empire? That's it.
There's your title for the first movie, Heir to the Empire.
That's a hilarious no.
I have one on my tail. See if you can help me out.
It's Kathleen Kennedy. She's trying to escape the Trade Federation. Only she doesn't realize she is the Trade Federation. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm General Lotz, and I don't feel like replaying that level because that idiot got shot to pieces. So, let's check the chat and do a First Order Resistance. Okay, so, anyway, Rain, final thoughts on the N64.
A lot of great hidden gems. A lot of in-the-era wonkiness from third parties trying to figure out, well, what do we do with this thing? And a lot of innovation that we just sadly don't see anymore in this era.
And I agree with that. I mean, the N64, I wonder how much of that is hindsight, where people complain about that controller. Because back in the day, the N64, or at least it seemed that way to me, the N64 and the PS1 were just like head-to-head, like they were equals, which we can see the sales figures now that the PS1 outsold the N64 by a wide, wide margin, but it didn't seem like that back then.
Oh yeah, even on the Sega Saturn, you had some innovation, you had some evolution, and the era was great for gaming because people could try new things, and generally they wouldn't lose their shirts.
Whereas today it's just the same old crap, be it third person, first person, or tower defense, or microtransaction. Basically, the 90s was a great time to be a gamer.
especially if you were an import gamer.
Although that had to be expensive back then.
You picked and chose your battles back then.
Like trying to get an import copy of an N64 game, that would just be... Not an N64 game, a Neo Geo game. That took dedication.
Well, I've got a couple import Neo Geo games. It's just back then, thankfully, you didn't have the rental. While unfortunately you didn't have the rental system, almost every Neo Geo game had an arcade release and a pretty big one. So you could at least try the game out and say, okay, do I like this? Do I like this enough to drop about $150 to $200 on?
Yeah, it's true, actually. Well,
And if you had the memory card, you could take your save from home and load it up on the arcade game or vice versa.
that's such a weird concept of like trying to integrate home stuff in arcade. That's something we'll never really see again, unfortunately. But
Not unless we can produce arcade technology which surpasses home PCs.
I don't think that'd even be possible unless it was like some sort of VR thing that would be better than the VR you'd get on an actual computer. Like
It's possible, but it's not exactly profitable.
I guess like if you had like some sort of full VR bodysuit, which I don't know if you want to use a bodysuit after somebody else, but
I'm not sharing a bodysuit with anybody.
yeah, that's the only thing I could think of. Let's see, Turok, but yeah, ultimately, it's great that we can play all these old games on emulators better than they looked back then, because that way you can see where gaming came from and just see real games in many cases. So, alright, I am General Lotz.
And I'm Renick.
And we'll catch you next time. Let's see. There we go. And